Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And if my calculations are correct, this is the second to last Raw before WrestleMania. And I gotta say, this Raw, two positives to me in this Raw. One, the first hour was pretty fun, pretty energetic, and we'll get more into the specifics in the formal review. The second was that, in all honesty, this Raw felt like it had a quicker pace than most. Seemed like it went by quicker than most Raws. Other than that, though, I'm not going to say it was terrible or that I hated it, but there is just something about, man, on this road to WrestleMania, when we got into that second hour, and especially that third hour, that it just feels almost life-draining. Like, I'm just like, okay, it's like you come off the high of the first hour when you're like, yeah, it's Monday, it's Raw, and then you realize, oh, it's Monday, it's Raw. You know, that kind of thing. Don't take my word for it. Let's see if we can get a diverse opinion here. I mean, Ashton, what did you think of this Raw?
Yeah, man, this Raw, this wasn't terrible. You know, let me just kind of start by saying that. This show wasn't awful. It wasn't something that we're going to spend the entire show. We're not going to spend, 2.5 hours ranting about how bad the show was, because it's not bad enough to warrant that. But what I will say is, even though it wasn't terrible, there wasn't really much really praiseworthy about the show either. Like you said, the first hour was pretty good, especially the first match of the night. And I mean, the thing is, the first hour was good, and after that, there was a lot of wheel spinning. There was a lot of, oh, this is happening, I don't actually care. And there were even a couple things that legitimately pissed me off, which is a great way for us to move on to our next segment.
Heat of the night! And you know what? Since you beautifully executed that transition, I'll already tell you, I have no heats of the night tonight. I have one nitpick. We were kind of going over it in conversation before recording. I just always find it funny, and this isn't the first time that WWE's done it, so, it's not like there's no precedent. But, the idea that a triple threat match can go to a no contest, as I'll refer to it. Like, I thought this was supposed to be a no DQ style match. Rules kind of go out the window, and there really must be a winner in this kind of format. And yet, the match gets thrown out because all of these guys end up gunning for Kevin Owens, who I have quite a bit to say about, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, it just really made no sense to me. But you know what? I'm not going to make a big deal of it, because really, WWE hasn't really shown much thought, in my mind, in putting this WrestleMania card together. So why would they start for an undercard match such as this? I just wanted to air my grievances. But now, I'm really intrigued about what you're bringing to the table. So what are you packing, my friend? How much heat are you packing tonight?
I have one heat of the night.
Okay, just one. All right, well, let's see the magnitude of it.
It is a full-blown heat of the night, and I do want to make that distinction because it pissed me off big time.
Oh, okay. All right, so even though it's one heat of the night, it's definitely one of a kind of magnitude. So let's dissect it, man. Let's go through this.
Well, I feel like there's not really a ton to be dissected. It's pretty much all right there on the surface. This stipulation that Vince McMahon added to the Taker-Shane match completely took any interest that I had in the match, which there was already very little in the first place, and threw it out the window. Because now, not only do you have Shane McMahon, the returning hero, going against The Undertaker, who is undefeated at WrestleMania, lifetime icon babyface in his hometown, but now you put The Undertaker's career on the line. Who am I supposed to cheer in this match? Who am I supposed to want to win? Because it's starting to feel like they initially wanted it to be face Shane versus heel Taker, realized it wasn't going to work, and now Vince McMahon is trying to make The Undertaker the face in this match.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, because when we hash these things out, I never like to put words in your mouth. You feel like they just further obstructed what should have been a very simple narrative with this stipulation. Like, they kind of just screwed up alignments for you. It should have been more straightforward, and now it's just left you with, well, who's the villain in this? Do we even have a villain in this?
Clearly the villain is meant to be Vince McMahon, but he's not even in the match, so who gives a shit?
And see, like, my problem is, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, because I know I was discussing this with some people, I feel like if they had done a stipulation like this at the outset, it may have made more sense. Because clearly, you don't think so.
No, I don't even agree with that, though, because my problem isn't the timing of the stipulation, it's the stipulation itself, because as soon as you put the Undertaker's career on the line, people don't want to see him lose. When the Undertaker's career is on the line, and especially at WrestleMania, nobody is going to want to see him lose. And especially, I said especially already, I'm doubling down on it, in his home freaking state. It's stupid.
I mean, I can understand that. I just feel like, for me, if the timing was better, even though your contentions, I think, have merit, you could have at least played with that a little bit, really made Vince out to be the dick, which I get that they're already trying to do, but you really could have established it. You could have had Taker.
That's actually another problem of mine, because I know that what you're kind of suggesting is if they would have used this to kind of motivate the Undertaker and actually make this his reason for wanting to win the match in the first place. I could understand that, but my problem there is even if they wanted to use that as his original motivation, I feel like that's more us kind of trying to retcon than anything. I feel like they needed to have a reason for Undertaker to fight in this match, and then they decide to make it, maybe it is the timing of it, but it's everything about this makes no sense. You have the Undertaker, who is this beloved, iconic legend in his home state of Texas, where, I mean, there isn't really a state or a city that the Undertaker gets a lot of boos in, but if there's anywhere that he gets the least boos and the most cheers, it would be in Texas. That's him and HBK and Austin, that's like their freaking hunting ground, man. And now you're telling me that if he loses, he has to retire. So obviously you're going to put him up against some dastardly heel so that people can all get behind Undertaker and really want him to win. But no, he's up against Shane McMahon, and as if there wasn't enough proof already that Shane was the most over babyface on the freaking roster right now, we had 2 separate video packages tonight highlighting his heart, his desire to win, how great of an ovation he got when he returned, highlighting everything that makes him a great babyface. So it's a babyface versus babyface match, but in the worst way possible, because it's a match where you don't want either one of them to lose.
And here's the thing, too, another problem that I have, which again, I did see other people express, who's to say that this stipulation on Taker's side is even going to hold any water? WWE has never done retirement storylines like this very successfully, given their past. I could easily conceive of Shane getting the win and rendering it a moot point the next night on Raw that Taker's retired. I could just see that.
And that was actually my next point, is you have this whole, Undertaker's going to have to retire. Or actually, you know what? I don't even consider it to be a retirement stipulation. I think it's just Vince threatening to fire him if he loses, right?
Yeah.
Well, if he loses, Vince doesn't have the power to fire anyone anymore.
Exactly.
So what exactly is the point of the stipulation in the first place? You're wasting people's time.
Well, really, you're boxing Taker in if you're Vince, because it's like, well, the only way I'd have the authority, no pun intended, to enforce such a stipulation is if you win in the first place. So, really, if you're Undertaker, you might as well want to go with like a finger poke of doom or something and just eat the pin, lay down and be like, well, I got job security and you're out of a job, so fuck you. And, there's Mania for you.
So now not only are they adding this idiotic stipulation, but it's the worst part about it now is it's so incredibly shallow, but the only real purpose it serves is to get people to want the Undertaker to win more.
Yeah, to me, the problem with this angle, and I was even going to say this earlier when we were hashing out the merits of the Taker fired stipulation, it just feels so stitched together. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they hit the ground running when Shane came back. They soaked in the pop, they soaked in the ratings, they soaked in the buzz, and then the morning after, when they woke up from it and they came down from it, the first thing they asked themselves was, okay, now what? Because they didn't even know.
Dude, how many times have I said it? No wrestling promotion in the world is better at capturing lightning in the bottle and then letting it go because they have no clue what to do with it than
Exactly.
WWE.
Yeah, and you have said that, on record multiple times, and I feel like this storyline in particular is the perfect illustration of that. Because I feel like you had a really interesting narrative here, but I think one of the worst things they did, speaking for myself, I don't know if you'd agree or disagree, but for me, one of the worst things they did right at the outset was not establish very early what Taker's stake was in this match. Because it made no sense to me that one of the most beloved figures in WWE, even if it was at the behest of Mr. McMahon, who, I mean, let's be honest, Vince McMahon, the character on WWE TV, has always been a piece of shit scumbag boss. But that has never stopped babyfaces giving him hell over it. I mean, just think Stone Cold or The Rock in hell, even Undertaker himself. So what would stop Taker from doing that again? And I just feel like not giving him that motivation early, and then we've got the problem here. I do like the stipulation in one way because at least it makes an attempt, no matter how half-hearted or this or that attempt is, at giving Taker that stake, giving him that motivation. But this was the second to last Raw before Mania, and you do it. Like, this should have been established so early so we know where all the parties stand, and then you can work on all of the, emotional manipulating and telling the story and this, that, and the other. It just feels so stitched together, and I don't really like that because this is one of your marquee matchups at Mania. This is going to be one of those matches, to me, that sets the tone for the post-WrestleMania Raw, because the first thing you're going to be thinking about is either, oh, it's the first Raw with Shane in charge, or, oh, it's another Raw with the Authority, but is Shane lurking somewhere? And I feel like with a match with that kind of importance, to feel this stitched together just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, and it's also a match where, if you look at it from just a logical perspective, which is kind of what I do, the Undertaker's best bet is, if he wants to both A, kind of cement his legacy, and B, keep fan adulation. Well, I shouldn't have said both, because then also C, keep his job. He would talk it out with Shane and be like, listen, man, I'll lay down for you if you rehire me when you get control of Raw.
Yeah, and can I just mention something else, too, since we're in the vein of discussing this matchup? Am I the only one that's... I'm not going to make, like, a big production of it, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way when they try and make Shane a bigger opposition to The Undertaker than he actually is.
Yeah.
Like, I've been hearing, like...
Well, I think that Vince doing it is just sort of a way for him to garner that heel heat and be like, well, of course Shane's the most formidable opponent The Undertaker's ever faced. It's the only opponent The Undertaker's ever faced that came from my seed.
Right. Well, first of all, that was excellent. Second of all, I get that, but I'm talking, like, even legends make it out to be like, oh, Shane's, like, going to give everything and this and that. And, like, in a way I can understand it, because obviously every opposition has to be credible to a point. But let's just not forget that Brock Lesnar was a thing. Like, Taker doesn't even have the streak anymore.
Well, and that's my thing, too, is, like, when I look at this match, even before tonight, which I think tonight cemented this even more, unless they do decide to go with kind of like a, collusion angle with this, where Taker lays down for Shane. Going into this match, all I was thinking was this is going to be like Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania, except it's not going to be an entire family beating on a McMahon. It's just going to be one man who probably has more credibility than the entire Hart family beating on a McMahon.
You know what I would love for this match? I know it would probably leave a lot of people maybe scratching their heads or even angry, but for me, an ending I think that would be emotionally poignant, and maybe I'm in the minority here. I think you have Taker and Shane have their match, and they go balls out and they have their match. You have Taker bleeding. Shane, I think, should obviously be bleeding. He's supposed to be the scrapper to me in this thing, like fighting for everything. You have Vince come out. He's feeling really confident. He's just screaming at Taker, kill him, and he gets really animated. I would have Taker turn on Vince and then just look at Shane, look at the crowd, take a nice long look at the crowd, and then be the ultimate martyr for the WWE for its future. Because Undertaker's always struck me as that guy. You'll always hear people be like, oh, he's a locker room leader, he's this and that. So I think to have him make that sacrifice of his career, to make that selfless act, you know, he's often been called the conscience of the WWE. That would be the last act of the conscience of WWE, is exercising that poison from the system, giving control to Shane. And I think it really kind of leaves a wonderful WrestleMania moment, this guy like passing the torch to people that actually care about the future. That's just me, because I don't really know what else you do for two guys that are so likable in their own ways. You know, and that's kind of a problem you've been illustrating throughout your whole heat of the night. How do you reconcile a matchup of this magnitude that involves two babyfaces, no clear-cut villain as far as direct participants in the match are concerned?
Right.
You know, and it's just such a conflict. Now, my solution obviously isn't the best. I can understand how to some people listening to this, they'd probably be like, John, that's a horrible idea. But I think that's precisely the crisis you face when you have two figures like this, is what do you do? And at the same time, it goes back to what we're saying. Sure, you could have Shane win and then render the stipulation moot, but that just almost feels like a cheap ride. You know what I mean? Like, you went on that whole ride for nothing. You know, I hear people, like, even to this day, complaining about The Sopranos ending and how that ended, or certain TV show endings. Well, as a wrestling fan, I mean, we live for these stories. How are we going to feel going on this story, thinking that everything was going to change, and maybe even saying goodbye to Undertaker, and then the next night, oh, it's cool, guys, me and Taker are cool, he's rehired.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just feels so cheap. Like,
it's so funny, too, because I remember that that Wrestling Isn't Wrestling video by Max Landis. One of the things he always got on John Cena for, he takes the stakes out of everything because he never loses. Well, you know, you don't need to never lose in order to take the stakes out of everything, and the WWE has done that.
Exactly. You know, it's so funny that you bring up Cena and Max Landis, because one thing that I rewatched today was Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk versus John Cena. Remember how seismic that event was?
Remember when crowds actually reacted to things going on in the ring?
Yeah, really. You know, and WWE, I mean, to use your phrase, had lightning in a bottle that night. And such possibility for Punk walking out.
Oh, yeah. Another example of them catching lightning in a bottle and only getting so far before they drop it.
Exactly. And then
because the lightning. Then frickin' Triple H had to beat him. And then frickin' Del Rio had to beat him. And then, you know, like, there was just like a chain of Punk losing for no reason because apparently he was getting too big for the brass's liking.
You know, and I just see this whole angle, Shane and Taker, being a similar train wreck. And why? Because you only have to go back to, I believe it was the Raw TWitWoW where Shane came back, that you first discussed this, Ashton, and brought it to the forefront. The internal infrastructure will not change. Kevin Dunn isn't going anywhere.
Nope.
Vince isn't going
Still
anywhere.
Making more money than any worker or Vince himself.
Which pisses me off, but that's for another day. And the fact is, that structure does not change. So just because you put a fresh coat of paint on it by the name of Shane McMahon doesn't mean I'm going to give any more of a shit. And that's really sad, because I was thinking about it today. Again, you know, watching Punk Cena, and I'm like, you know what? Even though that was close to almost 5 years ago now, because we're coming upon the summer of 2016 here pretty soon in a couple months, I still think, and it's so frustrating, WWE has one of the most talented locker rooms going right now. I mean, you need
How
more...
ridiculous is it that we're talking about the WWE in 2016 and we sound like we're talking about TNA in 2006?
I know, dude. I know, because if you want proof of the depth of talent that the WWE locker room has, look no further than the opening we got, or the opener, you know, that we got on Raw, the opening match. Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, which was fantastic. The problem is, when you don't have writing that does a locker room like that justice, the product suffers. WWE, to me, is proof that in-ring isn't everything, because based on the roster alone on paper, they have in-ring down pat, okay? They have it down to a science, but the writing just isn't there. And you look in a match like this that I think is so heavily dependent on writing, and it just isn't there. They made a great move with Shane coming back, you know, and they really capitalized on it. But you muddied your own narrative, and now I don't even know what's going on, and by me not knowing what's going on, how am I supposed to care? How is anybody supposed to care if they can't follow along with the story being told? You know, and I'm just like, well, who am I supposed to cheer for? Where is my alignment supposed to be? What should I really want? in this? Is what I want even going to matter? Again, because we think about, well, could Shane just render it this way? I mean, this is the kind of storytelling that just takes people out of it. And this is WrestleMania. This isn't just some throwaway show like Capital Punishment or something. Remember that train wreck?
That was R-Truth, right?
Yeah, that was R-Truth, John Cena. Yeah. R-Truth did his best, though. I'll give him that much credit. But, yeah, I mean, this is WrestleMania 32 in a very impressive stadium in Dallas. And, I mean, between this main event and Roman Reigns tonight, I have quite a bit to say about dear Roman Reigns. I just don't. It's hard to get excited. And it's especially hard to get excited. This will be my first blog of maybe many tonight. When Aztec Warfare is this Wednesday. And think about how brilliantly that story has been leading up to it.
Oh, man. I almost forgot about the fact that was this week already. And now I'm losing my mind again. So thanks for the reminder, John.
Well, I mean, you probably needed it for us to get through the rest of the show. Because I'm telling you, man, if you're comparing WWE right now to Lucha Underground right now, it's not even fair. Yes.
No, I mean, if you really want to know everything that Lucha Underground is doing right that the WWE needs to learn how to do, watch our video on 10 realistic ways that the WWE could improve their product.
Exactly. And if you want a living, breathing demonstration, watch Lucha Underground this Wednesday with Aztec Warfare.
Even better.
Yeah, it's going to kick the shit out of this Raw. And I'll say it, too, to keep it within the proximity of the WWE product. NXT TakeOver Dallas has a stacked card that feels more like the legitimate WrestleMania than WrestleMania itself. It's been upended. It's been usurped by the NXT roster, and they should be embarrassed. I mean, I used to read reports, the main roster guys, they get hungry, seeing what NXT is doing now. Well, you better be freaking hungry. You better have a full empty stomach because they're kicking the shit out of you right now. And it's just really sad because I want to be into this story. I feel like they're trying. Those 2 video packages we got tonight, I felt like were signs. You're trying. But trying and doing something successfully are 2 different things. And they're just doing the former, not accomplishing much of the latter. So that's all I got to say about that. Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't think so, man. I think the stipulation was just a horrible idea. This whole angle has been awful from the get-go. I mean, even from the beginning, the first thing that I said, I remember when Shane came back that same night, now Shane's back, and they have him and Stephanie and Vince all involved, and it's the McMahon family circus all over again, just like the frickin' invasion. And that hasn't changed. I mean, the only difference is that now Stephanie isn't really involved in that angle, but she's still on TV multiple times a week, every week. And now Shane and Vince have literally become the center of the Shane versus Undertaker feud. Vince is the heel in that feud. The Undertaker is his proxy.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me. But with that said, I don't want to go on belaboring any points. Let's move on here to our Monday Night Raw review. We start with a recap of Roman Reigns beating up Triple H, because that's a recap you want to show, right? I mean, thank goodness for editing, because, yeah, I mean, if you really showed that recap and the fans' reaction wouldn't have looked too good. And then we really open the show with Stephanie McMahon. She comes out, explains that Triple H isn't here tonight because he's got responsibilities. I know that's hard for you people to grasp. So again, going on that narrative, you guys are lazy. You want to buck up to authority, but you never will because you have no backbone, yada, yada, yada. Roman Reigns comes out. He interrupts, and he more or less says, I'm going to beat up your husband. I'm going to embarrass you guys at WrestleMania. I'm the authority now. I mean, Stephanie tried to cut him off early at the pass, but he actually took his hand and he, muffled her microphone more or less. And yeah, then he just talks some trash that I'm the authority now, which again leaves me to ask, who's the babyface here? Like, Roman Reigns just gives off such a heel vibe, and I could do a 10,000 word dissertation about why Roman Reigns should be heel and why everybody's stupid who thinks that he should be babyface, but I'm not going to do that again this week. It was what it was. It's getting really bad, Ashton, not in the sense that, like, these are noxious or that I'm suffering. It's getting bad in the sense that when I see Roman Reigns do stuff like this, I just want him as heel even more, and I know I'm not going to get it.
He comes off as a bully.
He does. Dude, it is so funny you use that word, because one of my earliest tweets in the night was, how is Roman Reigns a babyface? he's a bully with admittedly great hair. Like, that was my tweet. And I'm just like, how are you supposed to be likable when you look the way that you look? When you talk the way that you talk and you give off the presence that you give off, how can anybody like you? I would look at you, and my nickname's Johnny Scumbag, for Christ's sake, and I think, oh my god, what a douchebag. Me! Get it together, people! Oh my god.
Yeah, I think we need to just kind of avoid talking about Roman not being heel for a while, I think.
It's just, and I know you're right. It's not that you're wrong.
No, but
it's so hard.
It's so in your face at this point. It's hard to avoid talking about. And he had another great babyface moment later on in the night when he jumped a man and his wife who were about to leave the goddamn building.
You know, since you brought it up, let's just kind of bring all the Roman stuff together so we can talk about it now so I don't have to go back to how wonderful a heel he is later. Because, first of all, Stephanie's screams made me laugh my ass off. Way to really commit to the scene, Steph.
You know what, though? I'm going to give her credit. Her screams were way more convincing than Brie Bella's 2 years ago.
I knew one of us was going to bring up Brie Bella. I knew it, because it wouldn't be a Raw TWitWoW if Bella wasn't getting shit on. And yeah, you're right.
She wasn't even on the show tonight, but we had a segment that reminded me of her, and I'm salty about it.
It's like we heard Stephanie's screams, and we were like, wait a minute. This brings me back to a disturbance.
There's a disturbance in the force.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're looking at these
I heard
two.
screams in this exact same situation, but it was Daniel Bryan and Kane 2 years ago.
Yes, I can see it now. Oh god, it was just as awful now as it is then. But
except her screams were like, ah. And Stephanie was like, ah! Like screaming, actually like horrified.
yeah, I can guarantee you when Bray and Daniel were driving off, she was probably like, yeah, I'm totally going to be recruited for a future WWE Studios film now. Yeah.
WWE Studios? She has her sights set higher than that. She's aiming for Spielberg.
Yeah. But, I mean, to your point, just to, address this so we can lump it all together. This assault by Roman Reigns, they were going to drive out of the building. I mean, really, if you want to take this for what it was a husband who works in the same company as his wife, and they were going to leave. You know, they put in their time at the office. They were clocking out.
And the great thing, too, is Stephanie even said, I want to leave the building because I'm getting a weird feeling from Roman Reigns. So, unsafe workplace, check.
Yeah, and dude, like, to me, I don't know if you were thinking this, but Roman Reigns actually had to take a few steps to get to where and I'm just like, drive?
Yeah, dude, that's my thing too. Like, if you want to get this babyface over as sympathetic, hit him with a goddamn car. That might get some sympathy from your apathetic audience.
Yeah, like, hit him with a car, or at least if you want to up the badass factor, which I heard some people on Twitter say, like, oh, that's what they're trying to go for with Roman Reigns. Have him, I mean, hell, Dean Ambrose chucked that crowbar. He doesn't need it anymore. Roman should have taken it and should have smashed the windows. You know, give a little bit of oomph to it. But no.
Again, though, the WWE's characters that they're writing have no logic to them whatsoever. If you are Triple H and or Stephanie and or the driver who is literally staring at this garage door opening up to reveal this crazed madman, what do you think you're going to do? You're not going to just sit there and wait for him to come in and assault one of the people that you're supposed to be driving that are apparently paying you, that are the reason that you make a paycheck every goddamn week. No, you're going to drive, hope that the other dude gets out of the way, and if not, hope that he doesn't catch your license plate so you can at least get away with a hit and run.
Exactly, like, that driver is so fired. You know,
oh my god, yeah.
You should have floored it, man. You should have floored it. And Roman Reigns is beating the crap out of him, and I don't know why.
You know what? I have a question, too. How did they get into the building without noticing Roman standing right outside the garage door?
I don't know.
Like, is there, like, a dog leg left there that they came from? And if so, how did they manage to get that stretch? I guess it wasn't like a limo, like that stretch SUV. It was basically just like an SUV limo kind of thing. How did they get that around that sharp turn? And if they didn't, that means they had to back in through the exact garage that Roman came through. And then another question worth asking is, why did you close the garage door when all you're doing is backing in, picking someone up, and then leaving? This writing team raises so many questions, I almost feel stupid asking them.
You really should. I mean, WWE, it's predicated on ignorance. This isn't Lucha Underground. You have no right to ask questions. Where the hell do you think we are? This isn't Wednesday. So, do you have any other questions you want to feel bad about asking? Go on. Get them out of your system. Anything else?
Yeah, why didn't Roman do anything else for the rest of the night after he failed to finish Triple H off?
Yep, all legitimate questions, just you have to be satisfied that you're never going to get an answer.
That wasn't rhetorical, though, John. I actually want somebody to try and explain to me why Roman Reigns attempted to beat the hell out of Triple H, allowed Triple H to get away, and then proceeded to take the rest of the night off.
Yeah, actually, as far as the second half of that question, I mean, not that the first half doesn't have merit, but focusing specifically on the second, why, if you're Triple H, and you did get assaulted, but you did get away, didn't you pull out a phone, maybe make a call to Vince or something, because he's clearly in the building given what he's dealing with, and be like, hey, I'm not going to tolerate getting beat up. Look, I know you've got this whole thing with Shane, but we've got to consolidate our power. We have to stand together as a family. I want you to put Roman in, XYZ kind of matchup.
Put him in an 8-on-1 match so he can bury 8 guys at a time instead of just one.
Exactly. Or something. Something. So I totally get what you're saying, but again...
He says one versus all, let's make his wish come true.
And this is where I have to say, and granted, it's not that we see this often or whatever, but we do get people, rarely that say, oh, is there anything more critical you guys could be about Lucha Underground, or wow, you guys really seem a bit mawkish for the show, or it's not perfect. We're not saying Lucha Underground's perfect, though I am getting legitimately scared they might be getting to that point. It's just the thing is, they don't have problems like this.
That's the thing, the biggest difference between Lucha Underground and the WWE is that Lucha Underground has characters that make decisions that make sense.
Right.
The WWE's characters all feel like they're only making the decisions that they make because the script calls for it.
Exactly. And, it's just none of these decisions, none of these actions. First of all, again, since the target is Roman Reigns, if you're trying to make a babyface, this makes no sense. And it's even worse when there is blatant manipulation going on.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things I've said about Lucha Underground, for all intents and purposes, Ashton, Pentagon should be a Rudo, right? He breaks people's arms. He takes people out of the game. He even tried harming viciously Melissa Santos. But people gravitated towards Pentagon. But Lucha Underground doesn't give a shit about manipulating the people to like or loathe who they want them to like or loathe. They are committed to their stories, and you see the difference. Yep. Because when you're focused on the narrative, that's keeping your eye on the prize. But Vince and the powers that be, they're so caught up in this idea, man, we have to make Roman a babyface. We have to make him beloved. They're not going along with the natural ebbs and flows of the story that they're telling. Because that's the one thing about pro wrestling stories, and maybe I'm wrong here, as opposed to maybe TV mediums or movie mediums. I feel like there's supposed to be a greater fluidity because you're doing it in front of a live audience. They're taking that in. And I feel like when the audience is rejecting your story, unless you've got a really great end game, you need to change course, and they just haven't changed course. And this segment tonight with him assaulting Triple H, in the garage area, was laughable. I mean, yes, Stephanie's acting was better than Brie Bella's, but that's really not saying much at all. Her scream still made me laugh my ass off. And just the whole beatdown by Roman to me, I don't know. It just came off hokey to me, man. I don't know. I'm feeling such a disconnect.
Again, it's just one of those things where the WWE has this idea that they're going to try and be like something, and they don't realize that when they try and be like something, they don't commit enough to actually make it work. Like when Lucha Underground tries to be like a sci-fi show, they say, fuck it. Let's actually have Aerostar fly to space. If it was WWE, they would find some hokey way to cop out of actually doing that. And that's kind of what they're doing here. Like, they're trying to be like almost like a horror special, like back what they did with Kane with Bryan and Brie Bella. And they just go halfway with it, and they're like, yeah, that was brilliant television. And no, it's not.
It really, really isn't.
But again, to come back to this whole idea that WWE's characters actually, they don't make decisions that actually make sense, and their characters don't have motivations. can we just establish that The Undertaker agreed to be Vince's pawn to fight Shane McMahon? And then they were like, oh, you know what? We should probably give Taker a little better motivation for this. Let's put his career on the line.
Yeah, and then because Vince is the heel here, which, see, it's difficult because I can't necessarily say he isn't going to face a comeuppance because if Shane wins, that's obviously bad for Vince. But I got so angry when he's like, oh, and Shane was right because Taker is my bitch. And then smiled about it. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like, if you're an Undertaker fan, I don't want to speak for any Undertaker fans, but speaking as partially one myself, not a full-blown mark, but I still respect the guy. I wanted to see him come out and tombstone Vince's geriatric ass into the canvas.
Exactly.
Like, fuck you, dude.
The fact that Vince got away with saying that tonight and Taker did nothing about it, my question then becomes, will Taker do something about it next week? And if not, will that be kind of one of the reasons? And it's not going to be the only reason, obviously, but will that be one of the reasons if Taker does decide to lay down for Shane, and that they'll kind of come back to that and be like, that's why? And then I realize, oh, wait, here I am looking for motivation in characters that don't make any sense in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely, and you know what? You make a great point too, Ashton, because I'll be honest, I don't want to jump the gun or commit hyperbole, but, I mean, next week's Raw is the go-home show before WrestleMania 32. I mean, cannot stress enough that this is WrestleMania. And now with the added stake that it could be Taker's last WrestleMania, by extension, that may make this his last Monday Night Raw. You don't, if you're the Undertaker, you don't want to leave any debts unpaid. And the idea that Vince kind of laid down the gauntlet to you like that, at least lay out both Vince and Shane and look up at the WrestleMania sign to end that Raw. Like, tombstone Vince, Shane could be happy, and then Shane gets chokeslammed, because I get it, you have a match to promote. But God, you can't let Vince get away with that. And as far as Roman and Triple H, I don't even know what they're going to do for the go-home show next week, because I know that we still laugh about to this day Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, tug-of-war with the title. That might actually be better than whatever they come up with for this, because this has just been, I don't know, man. I mean, you want to talk about a disconnect. I don't feel anything for this matchup at all. In fact, really, that's a lie. I do feel something. I feel anger that Roman Reigns isn't a heel. And I'm sorry, man, but it's true. Like, he's so freaking, and this isn't even one of those, oh, John Cena should be heel because, Roman Reigns has got a charisma. He's got an ability, and he's got a great look. And you were just looking me in the eye, and by them I mean Vince and the authority and all. You're looking me in the eye week in and week out, and you're pissing it away in front of my face. And
this is what the problem, though, is to me, is that they're insulting our intelligence, because you've got Vince McMahon, who backstage reports are always saying, like, he loves Roman, he wants Roman to be the next guy. And then on screen, you have Vince McMahon and just kind of this general idea of the authority telling us that they hate Roman, and yet somehow or another he still continues to get all these opportunities. There's a huge disconnect there, and it stems from this idea that the WWE wants their authority figures to be heels, but then at the same time, the backstage actual authority figures are making decisions that people see as heelish at the same time.
Exactly. Ashton, it's so funny, and I'm so glad you framed that the way that you did, because, I mean, I certainly haven't forgotten, I don't think you have either, the whole promo that Triple H cut saying, oh, we're in the reality era now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this be a great reality era storyline if you played upon the dirt sheets and you're like, oh, we love Roman and this and that, and you ran with that? Meanwhile, we're clamoring for a guy like Dean Ambrose or somebody. Like, that would be reality era to me.
Well, I think that's what they sort of stumbled upon with the Daniel Bryan thing, because they legitimately did not see a star in him. They legitimately wanted him to wrestle Sheamus in a WrestleMania match that year. They legitimately didn't see Bryan as a WrestleMania main eventer, and that played out on screen on top of playing out behind the scenes, and it led to this huge, ridiculous groundswell of support for Bryan to the point that they could not ignore it anymore.
Right.
But you're not going to do that when, just example, Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose, I know a lot of people think, oh, well, Dean Ambrose, he doesn't really have the look that the WWE likes. But if you think back to the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, the first ever Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on the network with Vince McMahon, Vince said, there are a few millennials that have grabbed the brass ring. I would say Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Bray Wyatt. When the chairman of the board lists Dean Ambrose as a guy that has grabbed the brass ring, well, clearly they're willing to push him. And now, this was another little issue that I had with tonight. This continuing trend of using legends to try and get Dean Ambrose over, I think is the ultimate cop-out.
Now, why do you think that?
Because you're not letting him get over on his own merits. You're trying to they're basically trying to do with him what they tried to do with Roman and saying, let's take this guy that there's a little bit of support for and shove him out there and put all these legends that people know out there next to him and have them endorse him, and maybe then people will love him even more.
See, I think in a way I can get what you're saying, but
it
I
feels
feel like
disingenuous to me. Tonight, don't get me wrong, I love Dean Ambrose, but tonight felt like the first time that I've ever experienced watching Raw where I felt like the WWE was actually trying to shove Dean Ambrose down my throat.
See, it's interesting because I can see what you're saying, but I think why I'm cool with what they're doing with Dean Ambrose is because it is Brock Lesnar, and when you look at these legends
Brock's
and
a
the wars
face,
that they've
though.
been,
That's my problem.
and see, well, I think that's WWE's fault because that I could agree with. I do think they should make Brock. I don't even know if you can make Brock a quote-unquote
That's the
heel.
thing, though. Like, how do you make Brock Lesnar? He's the Pentagon, basically, of WWE. He is that killer, that violent guy, that guy who goes out there and just tosses people around. I don't care. Like, really the only way you're getting people to boo Brock is if you basically do with him what you did with Taker this past fall and have him start nutshotting people. And even then, people would probably cheer for him because it's like, yeah, that's payback for all the other nut shots that you've taken over the last year. Because that seems to be the only way anyone's ever gotten the upper hand on him.
Yeah, I mean, that, again, we've already talked about, like, the flaws and the shortcomings of the Ambrose-Lesnar matchup, and I do think that's a big one, is how do you make Brock unlikable when Dean Ambrose has this mountain to climb? And Dean Ambrose has certainly been handicapped in certain ways going into this matchup as far as his babyface momentum and his credibility are concerned. However, I mean, again, for me, why I think this works and why I'm enjoying it is because, you know, it's Brock Lesnar. When you look at what a Terry Funk or a Mick Foley have been through, and I loved what Mick Foley, too, it's like, you know that doing this, it's a stupid idea, right? Like, he knows what Brock Lesnar is, so he knows, okay, this may not even help much because it's Brock fucking Lesnar, but here's Barbie. And then Terry Funk, I mean, I don't think there's anything more apropos to describe the dominance of Brock Lesnar than pretty much telling a guy implicitly, hey, you're going to need a chainsaw to beat this guy.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, that's why I like it, because I think it still maintains the credibility of Brock Lesnar, again, when you're willing to arm a guy with a fucking chainsaw. Whereas,
I guess I just had this problem, and here's my thing, too. When they were building Daniel Bryan initially, it always felt like they were trying to rub his popularity off on other people.
Yes.
You know, with frickin', let's shove the Big Show out here. Let's get him to do yes chants with Bryan. Let's have him save Bryan a bunch of times. And then Big Show main event Survivor Series against Randy Orton. Let's have Del Rio turn face and start doing C chants instead of yes chants. Like, they kept trying to divert the reaction away from Bryan because they legitimately just straight up didn't want him to be that top star. And they wanted someone else to be able to kind of take that and run with it. But now, like, it's like with Dean Ambrose, they're fully embracing, oh, you know what? We can push two guys at once. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. These guys grabbed the brass ring, but they're not letting either one of them really do it on their own merits. Now, Roman, I agree with you. He should be heel. Dean, they're building him, but they're not building him organically.
See, it's difficult because, how can I put this? I do feel like there's an organic undercurrent going on here.
It was organic. It was organic. I'm not trying to say that it's never been organic with Dean. I think that in recent weeks, if not maybe even recent months, it's the organic element has slowly faded away, and it's become more and more and more the machine getting behind him.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, it's not even something that I could really aggressively contend with you, because I can see where you're coming from. I can be
No, you know what,
sympathetic.
though? I'm curious as to, even if you don't want to aggressively contend with me, which obviously I'm never going to really complain about that, I'm still curious how I can further explain my idea as far as Dean having this sort of inorganic build to make it seem less, I guess, confusing.
You know, it's difficult because I don't even really know, like, how to articulate my viewpoints from this point. Because to me, I look at a Roman Reigns, and I think I even said this last week on Raw. To me, he screams manufactured, which is a shame because, again, there is such a potential there. And really, let me say this too, not to go back to the heel discourse because we've already beaten that to death, but like you've said, if you let Roman Reigns have his heel run, I do think a kernel of brilliance for a babyface run could arise from that.
You know
But
what I could say,
you're
John? Let me
trying
just
way
put it
too hard.
this way.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I feel like Dean Ambrose in March of 2016 is where Roman Reigns was in August of 2014.
Okay, now specify, because where was Roman August of 2014? Because I don't exactly know how that timeline fits up.
He was winning all of his matches, and he was getting built up to get this big one-on-one victory against Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
Right.
And then he beat Orton at SummerSlam, but then he got hurt.
Okay.
So to me, I feel like that's kind of where Dean is. Like, they're building him, and they're going to give him this big win against Brock at WrestleMania, when in all reality, I know people might disagree with me on this, I don't think Dean should beat Brock at WrestleMania. I think Brock should beat the ever-loving shit out of Dean. I think Dean should kick out of 3 F5s, but I do think Brock should win and just have kind of this look on his face after the match of, God damn, this kid's tough. Just that kind of seal of approval to kind of get Dean over as a tough guy. Because to me, if you have Dean beat Brock Lesnar immediately like this, first of all, the credibility isn't there. I know you've been building Dean for a whole month because he had to lose to Triple H, but he lost to Triple H.
I mean, let me just say this. I mean, let's just pump the brakes really quickly. Let me just establish, I agree completely with you on that front. Right. I do think Brock Lesnar should win at Mania. And see, here's the thing.
You know what, though, John? You and I are really kind of on an island on that. I know I've seen multiple people, multiple tweets, multiple Reddit comments, even a few YouTube videos, people saying Dean Ambrose must beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32. And to me, I think that there is a way to go about booking the match that would be better than Dean winning and still having Brock win.
Oh, I completely agree. And see, let me just say this too, because we've been kind of debating, has Dean Ambrose become a bit inorganic or this and that? If he were to beat Brock Lesnar, then yeah, for me, and you know how vocal I've been about how much I'm loving Dean's work lately, even I would have to get up and say, no, man,
exactly.
That is so manufactured.
And I guess I'm just kind of like, I guess I'm just kind of jumping the shark a little bit here and kind of, going an extra step further than you because I'm 100% convinced Dean's winning.
See, that's so funny coming from the guy that from day one has been the first rule of a Dean Ambrose fan, never expect him to win.
Well, that was for the longest time, but now, obviously Triple H was the exception in this case, but recently he has been doing pretty much nothing but winning, it feels like.
Yeah, and you know what, like, I don't want to be that guy, and I kind of hate that I feel like I have become that guy lately on this road to WrestleMania, but I can see what you're saying, like the merit in your prediction of Dean winning. But what disheartens me, and maybe this is just my cynicism coming to the forefront, I don't even think that win would be because of a genuine interest in Dean, so much as it is a political maneuver. Because I could see that WWE already conceives that their main event is going to get shit on, but it's just that willful stubbornness. So they're probably like, well, if we give them something that'll surely make them pop and they'll love, maybe they'll
be in a good mood, and maybe they'll react the way we want them to the main event.
Exactly. So to me, and again, this could be my cynicism, and I apologize to everybody, but if Dean does go over, not only is it going to feel manufactured, it's going to take me out of Dean Ambrose's run, which is a shame because the guy does deserve this run. It's going to feel so calculated.
And that's exactly, too, that's why I've been saying that this should have not been a street fight. It should have been an I Quit match, because then you can really build Dean's toughness, still have Brock go over without making Dean look weak in any way whatsoever. Brock can leave the next night, and you have Dean established, like, this dude went toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar and didn't lose.
Right. Whereas,
but now it's going to be, oh, look, Dean Ambrose beat Brock Lesnar. He must be, like, the badassiest badass of them all, but that's not supposed to be his character.
Right, and, if Dean loses, he's already kind of exhausted the logic of, oh, we'll go talk to Brock Lesnar with Triple H at Roadblock. Yeah. So, like, you've backed yourself up into a wall, which is, again...
The WWE loves to do that.
Dude, I look at the 2 stars they've got right now in Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, who they're really focusing on, 2 baby... I was getting ready to say heel and face, respectively. See, it's innate in me, man. It's innate in me. But 2 baby faces, and it's just they're doing it... For Dean, I don't even want to say that they're doing it all wrong, because obviously I'm into it and I think that'd be hypocritical. Roman Reigns, it's train wreck. Like,
yeah, dude, it's crazy too, because, like, here's my thing with Roman. You and I are obviously very against this idea of Roman Reigns being a top babyface, but I don't think it's because we don't think he can be a top babyface. I think that right now, it's just because he's so good as a cocky, smarmy, obnoxious heel. It's not a matter of Roman sucks as a face. It's a matter of Roman is an amazing heel. Let him do what he does best to get the crowd behind him.
I mean, guys, and we've said this before, this isn't new. If you let Roman be that heel and run League with the Authority, and do all that, the night when he's no matter how long ahead that is, he finally turns on them, you've got your babyface. It's the timing.
Exactly. Here's, like, that's the thing, too. Seth Rollins is the perfect example. Seth Rollins was the Authority's golden boy. He was a sniveling prick. He was the champion for almost a year before he got hurt. He probably would have been champion for a year had he not gotten hurt. He held that title with no pride whatsoever. Lost every non-title match. Barely won at pay-per-views. But guess what, though, John? He still got over, and now, when he comes back from his injury in 2 or 3 months, he's going to be the most over babyface on the roster, and it's going to be because he hasn't been a product of the shitty writing for the last 6 to 9 months.
Exactly. There was a meme that went around after the Royal Rumble this year when AJ made his entrance, and it had that Roman look on his face like he didn't know who the entrant was, and the caption read, "What's that sound?" And then at the bottom, that's the sound of being over. Oh, they're going to be able to recycle that meme when Seth Rollins comes back.
Dude, it is, the writing has gotten so bad at this point that people are better off just straight up not being on television than they are to have regular television time. Because when you're on television regularly, your overness goes down.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like I said. You've got a really talented roster, but the writing's piss poor, and if you need any more proof of that, I mean, just look at our opening contest, our first match of the night, Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. This was an excellent match. I freaking love this match. Everybody on my Twitter seemed to love this match. Philly seemed to love this match. These 2 guys went out there, and they tore it up. I mean, for God's sakes, we got a frog splash from Kevin Owens, pulling out all the stops. You're talking about 2 guys who in ring and their body of work, they are so respected and so over in the ways that they're supposed to be. But I always worry about their future because of the writing. You look at Kevin Owens. Ashton, it's been no secret on TWitWoW, both with the hyperbole that I'm prone to do, but yet when I have my moments of sincerity, I love Kevin Owens. I don't think there's a better guy on this roster right now. Kevin Owens, I think, is in the top 5 of this roster. And I think this summer should be his summer with Money in the Bank and SummerSlam and everything. But I don't trust WWE to see what they have in Kevin Owens. I'm shocked they seem to see anything at all in AJ Styles. I mean, again, I hate to be that cynic, but given how they just treated Sting of all people,
Dude, This is what I'm talking about, though. AJ Styles' peak over was his debut.
Yeah.
It has been nothing but downhill since then. And that's not even because, like, he wore out on the people or anything. It's because of the writing. The writing is detrimental to anybody that becomes a product of it. You show up on WWE television, and all your stock does from that point on is drop.
Exactly. And you've seen AJ's stock, go down where the pops, I mean, they're there, but he doesn't seem as ridiculously over as he was.
And now he's a loser, too, because he's lost 2 times in a row now to Kevin Owens. I mean, granted, it's Kevin Owens, and that's great, but AJ Styles losing 2 matches in a row should not be happening this early in his career in WWE.
Yeah, and see, that's the conflict, because I agree with you.
This is another one of those perfect examples of where a squash match would have been better used here. Like, AJ Styles could have come out, faced, I don't know, Adam Rose, beat him in 30 seconds with a Styles Clash or a Calf Crusher, and you would have reestablished his dominance. And guess what? He has nothing to do with Kevin Owens or the Intercontinental Championship anymore, so there wasn't even any point in having this match other than just, go out there and put on a good match for the marks.
Yeah, because you did it on SmackDown already, so do it again for the live show. And, again, it kind of just leaves me laughing over here, and I'm like, of course, WWE, you choose now not to abide by your usual 50-50 booking. Which, in a way, again, I can applaud, because Kevin Owens beating a guy like AJ Styles twice, I think does good things for him, but again, it comes at the expense of AJ Styles, to your point. And this is his first WrestleMania, and you're having him work with Jericho, and regardless of how we feel, WWE clearly to me still perceives Jericho as somewhat of a big deal, to give them a program like this. So you have AJ lose a match on television on the build on the road to WrestleMania. It's a real conflict because in a way, yeah, it goes against 50-50 booking and it's Kevin Owens and I'll have that bias there. But if you look at it objectively, like you couldn't go out of your way to give AJ some shine here. It's AJ freaking Styles.
Like, and that's my thing too. Like, I wouldn't have had AJ win against Kevin Owens. That's why I said this is one of the many reasons they need to bring back the art of the squash. And the funny thing is, they had a squash match later on in the night, but it was between 2 people that had literally no reason to even be on TV right now, Bubba Dudley and R-Truth.
Right. And,
because this is the road to WrestleMania, and obviously, in their opinion, one of the 6 or 7 most important feuds to build for WrestleMania is the Dudleys versus the Usos. What stipulations are going to be on that? What exactly is going to result of the winner of that match? Is there anything really relevant going on there?
There are no tangible stakes that I know of.
Stakes, yeah, consequences, anything like that? Or is it just, we need to fill out a WrestleMania card and we can't think of anything better than this?
That's definitely what this seems like to me. When you get matches like that on Raw again, 2 weeks before WrestleMania. And yeah, this was an amazing opener. These guys gave everything. 2 of the hottest prospects that you could have in your company, but they fall victim to writing. AJ Styles is getting ready to have his 4th matchup with Chris Jericho, which to me, like, I respect both guys. I don't want to see a 4th match. And you want to talk about Kevin Owens, who I felt like had a great night tonight as a character and the work that he did.
And dude, the hilarious thing also, to me, is that you look at this whole Jericho AJ thing and there are people saying, oh, well, it's different now because Chris Jericho's a heel. And I would be so okay with that if Chris Jericho didn't already work the first 3 matches heel. I know he wasn't a full-blown heel by then, but he still worked like a heel in the matches. So the match isn't going to be any better than the ones we've already seen.
Yeah. It's funny to me because my whole kind of, interest in Chris Jericho, my fandom, you could say, with Chris Jericho as a heel. Like, I love the promos he's been cutting, but the last really great heel program he did was the CM Punk program. Because that had a grit and an intensity to it that I feel like this whole feud has kind of been lacking a little bit.
And if you just look at the build, I think this feud is at least close to, if not on par with that, but the match isn't going to be anywhere near as good because we've already seen it 3 times.
Yeah, we've seen it 3 times, and in my personal opinion, granted you could say that the Punk-Jericho motivation was similar, but the motivation for this, and I get that heels aren't always supposed to have the most sound reasoning, but it's kind of juvenile. Like, oh, they cheered for you instead of me. I mean, you're talking about
That makes Jericho a good heel, though. I'll argue for that.
So you think that's fine then?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand that. But to me,
I guess, yeah, that as far as a character motivation goes, if you are a petty douchebag heel, it makes sense that you would complain about something as simple as that. And, I mean, if we're being real, this is my thing, dude. We opened the show and I said that it wasn't horrible and it wasn't great. The reason it wasn't horrible was because of stuff like this. I think that this AJ Jericho feud is the best thing going on right now in the male division.
Right.
Because Chris Jericho's writing it. There's no doubt in my mind about that, because the rest, let's just be real, the rest of the writing team wouldn't be able to get this nuance as well as Jericho is. Chris Jericho sees a lot of himself in AJ Styles. He sees AJ Styles 2016 as Chris Jericho 1999.
Right.
And it's a combination of jealousy and just kind of self-awareness that you're not 20 however many years old anymore. You can't keep up with these young kids anymore. And I know AJ Styles is like 38 years old, but we're talking like as far as WWE experience goes, AJ is a kid compared to Jericho. You can't keep up with like this new generation of athletes, and you were the new generation of athlete back in your day, but now it's back in your day.
And you know what, Ashton? I mean, that was articulated perfectly. And you know what else kind of articulated that perfectly to me? The Punk Jericho, because that was the Punk Jericho story to me. Everything you just said was Punk Jericho, because they even had an exchange where Punk said, you know, I came from the same place as you did all the same things that you did, but you were never the man like I'm the man now, were you, Chris? And they told, that's everything you just said. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, yeah, they told that narrative with Punk Jericho. And I'm not saying they should do a shot-by-shot retelling of that narrative here, but I feel like there's more depth to this that I wish could have come up to the forefront than just, oh, you cheered for AJ, not for me. Like, I agree that's a great motivation for a heel, but I think that should be your foundation, and then you dig deeper as the weeks progress. Like, if they had a promo exchange where AJ said some of the stuff that you just said here, I would have been like, oh man, now we're going places, because now this
But
is really...
they can't. AJ can't do that, though, for two reasons. First of all, he's not good enough of a talker to pull that off. But second of all, and most importantly, AJ is supposed to be sort of a purebred babyface. He's not supposed to be that anti-hero like Punk was, who can kind of get a little bit meta and be like, oh, you're just jealous because you think that I'm taking your spot. That's not something that AJ Styles is going to say. He's supposed to be this naive, sort of innocent character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see what you're saying. You know what I think it is, dude? I just think for me, we wouldn't even really be having this conversation in my mind if it wasn't their fourth match. Like, I just can't get beyond.
If it wasn't their fourth match, this honestly would probably be the best match on the card, the best build on the card next. And I don't even know if I would be able to say next to the Divas Championship match, because it might be better than that if it wasn't their fourth match.
And I completely agree with you there. Like, I just feel like you've already exhausted this feud, you know, and again, I think back to Punk Jericho. You didn't even have them mix it up in the Elimination Chamber, because Jericho got knocked out in the match thanks to one of Punk's kicks. They had a match at WrestleMania, Punk won definitively, and then they had the Chicago Street Fight at Extreme Rules that year. And then that was the feud. Like 3 matches, spaced out nicely, actually, perfectly, I'd say.
But now we need to sell out 105,000 seats at WrestleMania, brother, so we're going to cram 3 months into 1 month.
Exactly. Just crazy to me. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, Jericho came out during the Owens-Styles matchup, caused a distraction. Owens got the roll-up, so Owens gets the win. And then he gets a microphone and he says, "Did you see that?" And he's just talking about, you know, how he won and how, you know, this is the Kevin Owens show and we're on the road to KO Mania. And God, this guy is so freaking good. It's not fair. And he's just like, so I know you're all wondering who's going to face me at KO Mania. And then Dolph interrupts, because what a better representation of sucking on the teat of someone else's limelight than Dolph Ziggler. And he's pretty much saying, oh, you know, Botchamania, KO Mania, whatever mania, and he lays down the gauntlet like, I want to be the one to challenge you for the Intercontinental Championship, even though you got your championship match at Payback and you lost. And then The Miz comes out. He once again, I main evented WrestleMania, and I did all this stuff way back when. Do you guys remember? Because I remember, because it's the only thing that gets me out of bed every morning. And Dolph reminds him, well, I beat you on SmackDown when I super kicked you. And plus, I feel like Miz hasn't even really been on that much of a winning streak lately. How the fuck did you even get here? I feel like you actually took a wrong turn. You were supposed to go to catering. You found your way out in the ring, and you just made the most of it. And then
I think you're misdirecting that comment at The Miz. You meant to say it towards Zack Ryder, who's also on this show.
We'll get to that, believe me. And then we have
the fact that Zack Ryder is on Raw and Emma isn't.
You know what, though? That's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's Raw, and Emma's down in NXT.
And like I said, showing up on Raw makes your stock do nothing but drop.
Exactly. And then we have Sami Zayn come out.
You don't need to huff and puff. He's a good guy.
I just did huff and puff. You gonna do something about it?
I didn't say you're not allowed. I just said you don't need to.
I just noticed a tinge of confrontation in your tone. So then Sammy comes out, and then he pretty much does the same thing. Oh, well, you know, given our history, I'm going to embarrass you, and I couldn't think of a better way to do it than taking your Intercontinental Championship than at WrestleMania. And all of these people, after Kevin Owens had a hard-fought matchup, is probably thinking about his family. Just close in on him, suffocate him. He's partially claustrophobic, people. Have some goddamn consideration.
Oh, I didn't know that. Poor guy.
Well, yeah, see, there you go. Leave it to me to elucidate the rest of you on the facts. All right? And then Kevin Owens creates the space because, yes, personal space is still a thing in 2016. Thank you. And he tells all of them a truth that I know is like shards of glass to swallow. None of them deserve to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship, but because he is a considerate, compassionate champion, he is going to go to the back, he is going to talk to Stephanie, and he's going to arrange a triple threat. Little did Kevin Owens know, though, because, see, he should have been paying attention to Seth Rollins' title reign more closely. They don't give a shit about you. They don't.
They really don't.
They really don't. And
it's bad.
Believe me, I am going to tear Stephanie a new one, but timing is everything. That's kind of the theme of tonight's episode, so I'm going to wait. But just remember, people, Kevin Owens, and I know all you Sami Zayn fans know, you're wrong, okay? It's okay to have an opinion, but you're wrong. As my cohort commentary has been so fond of telling me every now and again. Kevin Owens is the victim here, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, all these guys trying to be scavengers on Kevin Owens' win, sucking on the teat of his limelight again, and it's just not happening. So that was that first segment. Do you have anything you want to say about it? You don't have to sigh.
No, I might not have to, but draw it out of me, John.
So I'm taking that as a no then. We're good?
No, we're definitely not good, but if you want to move on, we can.
Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. Do you know what's next?
No, I was hoping.
I don't even know what segment we were talking about.
We were talking about AJ and then Kevin Owens and then the aftermath of that match.
Oh, okay. Well, up next is Dean Ambrose meeting Terry Funk.
Right, with the chainsaw. Again, I personally enjoyed this, appealed to like my kid inside growing up on the WWE product. This has felt like a WrestleMania story to me. It actually gets me jazzed about WrestleMania. And again, I actually feel like it implicitly still kind of builds up Brock Lesnar because, hey, we know what a monstrosity this guy is. You'd be better off armed with a chainsaw going into a battle with that guy than anything else. So
they're building up Brock Lesnar almost as well as Lucha Underground has built up Matanza.
I know. Oh, my God. Aztec Warfare this Wednesday. Oh, my God. We're getting there, brother. It's just a little bit longer now. So,
Around the river bend.
That was actually quite good. So, I have nothing else to say about this, do you?
No, I don't. But that's mostly just because I really want to get through this Raw, because I feel like we've gotten our ranting out of the way, and now we can just kind of skim through all the crap.
Skimming time! What's next?
Stephanie backstage, Kevin Owens asks for the triple threat, and she agrees, and then Authority, Kevin Owens is an Authority kiss ass. I'm just going to say that.
Whoa. Watch the tone. Kevin Owens is a model employee. Did you notice? Don't you snicker over there, Mr. Let me stifle something into my microphone.
I was not trying to stifle anything. I just didn't feel like I needed to laugh harder than I did. And then you said something more, and I did laugh harder than I was originally planning on. Is
that how it really happened? Well, that's interesting.
I don't know. You review the goddamn tape.
You treat me like I'm an NFL coach. I will not stand for this shit.
Coaches don't review tape, John. Referees do.
You know what? Everyone sucks anyway. All right? So, anyway.
Do you see what WWE drives us to, people?
I know. We never
This is what we become.
I never want to fight with this man. I love you, man. I'm sorry.
We need Lucha Underground to restore our moral compasses to where they belong.
Exactly. See, Lucha Underground brings people together. Do you see how divisive WWE is?
Hashtag Lucha Click.
I mean, it doesn't really, help matters that I am in the right, but that's beside the point.
Look, man, I'm not trying to fight on TWitWoW, okay?
Well, I certainly could have been fooled with the way you were acting. But anyway, Kevin Owens acting like the model employee.
Contentiously.
Oh my god. You want to fight about it? I will roll my sleeves up right now. Because you know what? No. I was going to save it. But you know what? I can't even hold it in. Fuck Stephanie McMahon. Because you want to talk about skimming through this? Oh, I'll give you skim. I'll give you full skim goddamn milk. Because Kevin Owens comes in, he's like, oh, Steph, with your glorious leadership, really being nice, appealing to
really
her ego.
Being a kiss ass.
Not a kiss ass, damn it, he adapts. Difference.
He adapts his lips to different members of the Authority's asses.
Oh my god, yeah. Way to finally graduate the 5th grade. And then, with that whole thing, which, spoiler alert, had freaking Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, and Stardust, because again, Kevin Owens is the most charitable motherfucker on the goddamn earth.
See, that I won't disagree with. This was straight up philanthropy, my friend.
Yes. That's the perfect tagline review of that matchup. We don't even have to, when we get to it, we can just, jump over it, the hurdle that it was on this show. And then...
Oh, let's see, John. Up next is Stardust versus Sin Cara. Oh, philanthropy. Moving on.
Exactly. And then after that, because everybody gets into a skirmish because they're grade school children and Kevin Owens is the only adult in the room, he goes to Stephanie to complain, hey, I was assaulted and everybody's breathing down my neck and I kind of have a family to take care of, and given the litany of injuries lately, I kind of want to be protected. So, how does Stephanie respond? Oh, Kevin, I told you not to interrupt me. Perfect first sentence, actually, because it illustrates I'm always going to put myself before the cattle that I beat into the ground to make me money. I'm sorry, Kevin, what did you want? Oh, just all these people breathing down my neck. Oh, well, Kevin, you really caught me on a bad night because of something you didn't even do. You could take that up with Roman Reigns. So now you're going to defend your title against those 6 guys. But again, those injuries that you were concerned about implicitly because, you were assaulted. It's going to be a ladder match.
Yep.
Folks, I get it. I get that I deserve a lot of...
Because I don't. That makes fun of us.
No, I was just going to say, look, I get that I deserve a lot of the shit that I end up eating, okay? I'm Johnny Scumbag. I laughed at Colin Cassidy getting his leg broken. It still makes me chuckle when I think about it.
It's uncomfortable that you laughed.
I laugh at a lot of things. And I get that, for some of you...
being a horrible person.
Nobody really asked you. I'm just going to put that out there. So I get that Kevin Owens having to eat this. Probably thinking, well, it's really coming back around to John. But think about the children. And I know that's a lot coming from me, given my statements in the past.
Yeah, but you don't really like children. Where's this
okay.
from?
This isn't about you, okay?
I didn't try and make it about. I'm talking about you.
I didn't select your commentary on the DVD. Damn it, Kevin Owens. God damn it, man, you're ruining the flow. Kevin Owens is a father. In fact, more people are starting to recognize that Kevin Owens is a father. And he deserves better than this.
I didn't know it was subjective.
KO Mania should be a family-friendly affair. God! Oh my God. And Stephanie McMahon is pretty much telling his son Owen, oh, I'm sorry we don't value your dad. We really don't give two shits about him. So we're going to put him in there with 6 other ingrates, one of whom seems to have this blood vendetta in Sami Zayn, which I don't know why. Kevin Owens is the only reason you're popular in the first place. And we're going to put his Intercontinental Championship on the line. You know, the only thing that keeps you off of a free lunch program and making you look like you're poor. So,
that hits too close to home.
Well, you know, look, man, I'm sorry. Kevin Owens, he provides for his family with those championships. It was the way with the NXT Championship, and now it's the same way with the Intercontinental Championship. Stephanie McMahon has threatened Kevin Owens' livelihood when he came to her with a formal complaint. What kind of a healthy work environment is this? I'll tell you what.
I kind of feel like they don't really aim for a healthy work environment.
It's just not fair. It's just not fair. And really, I mean, even if we are being serious, like,
oh boy.
Kevin Owens is a heel. Stephanie's a heel. And yet you're going to stack the deck against the heel, which, I mean, this is the same universe where we give ample opportunity to a babyface that you claim that you hate in Roman Reigns. Excuse me, alleged babyface, because we can't disregard those crowd reactions now. And you stack...
Even though we do every other week.
And you stack the deck. This is the most ass-backwards company I've ever seen in my life. Like, again, and I hate to keep... Actually, no, because that'd be a lie. I'm going to keep beating that horse, because everybody needs to hear about it. Lucha Underground would never do something that stupid. They are so good about protecting their heels, and if it's a heel that goes against the interests of the dominant, infrastructure... at least they deal with it, and it's for a far greater motivation, I can assure you, than, oh, I was interrupted. I mean, that is so petty. And again, with the whole Chris Jericho thing, maybe that is perfect, but maybe this is just, me being spoiled by Lucha Underground where things actually have more depth than the average show. Because I'm just like, really? Like that's how you're going to put this ladder match together. The idea that you were interrupted, and it was the last transgression on your ego, even though Roman Reigns did the bulk of it.
That's their idea of good television, though, John, because it's like a sitcom where somebody walks up to somebody and interrupts them when they were in an important phone call and asks them for a big favor, and the person, not realizing how serious the stakes were, says something really stupid to the person asking for a favor, and it ends up ruining everything. And this is sitcom writing. It's awful.
It really is.
This isn't something that people is going to appeal to people in 2016. This is some Three's Company level shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? There is one silver lining in all this. There is. And that's that at KO Mania, when Kevin Owens retains against those 6 guys, and specifically when he powerbombs Sami Zayn through a ladder on the good shoulder, I am going to laugh then. I will laugh the next night, and I will laugh, much like the WWE logo, forever.
So, John, how does it feel to know that you cut a more convincing promo than 80% of the roster?
It feels horrible, because I'm not getting paid to do it, and because the people that are getting paid to do it aren't even able to live up to their full potential because the writing is so stagnant and it sucks. That's how it feels. So, KO Mania.
That, John?
What's that taste like?
I don't know what exactly it tastes like, but I know it's bitter as hell.
Yeah, really is. So in closing, because we kind of lumped all that together too, I mean, this is kind of the skim version since we got all the ranting out of the way. KO Mania for life. Stephanie can suck it, and it doesn't matter if it's 6 men, 12 men, or the whole goddamn roster. Kevin Owens is walking into KO Mania, and yes, it is KO Mania, Stephanie. I hate this whole idea. Oh, it's my family. I'm so protective of everything in my family. Well, then, you know what? Why don't you act like it? Because all of this infighting is really a bunch of crap. And it is KO Mania for the last time. It's going to go into KO Mania with the Intercontinental. And yes, even in spite of Sami Zayn, he is going to walk out of KO Mania still your Intercontinental Champion. And no, it's not even because he's a father, damn it. It's because he's one of the best motherfuckers in the game today. So... that's what I gotta say about that. We can move on.
I feel like we skipped around a little bit, so let's just move on. We had 2 Shane McMahon video packages. I didn't give a shit. All it was just ego stroking for the McMahon family, in my opinion.
You know what? I think, and I don't want to. Do I want to do it? No. I was just gonna say, like, I think that's another thing that kind of bothers me about this story. Like, of course the McMahons are a central part of this show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just so noxious, especially.
The only thing that can defeat me is my own spawn, damn it.
And that's the thing. I don't even really mind Shane. I don't want to lump him into all this. But when it comes to the heel McMahons, it's so draining. Look, I can have a heel take me on any kind of ride they want with any kind of story they want. But the one thing that has to be consistent with all those stories, there has to be some comeuppance at the end.
Yep.
Stephanie is never going to eat a comeuppance, and I know you've said that so many times, so that's not new. And Vince, again, it's not that he's not going to eat a comeuppance because he might lose, but is he even really going to lose control? Because isn't the only thing like Shane gets to run Raw or something? That doesn't necessarily mean Vince is out of power. It just means he has less of it than when he started.
Vince is going to take over SmackDown, damn it!
Oh my God. And I just, and this is just me being a prick, and I'll readily admit that it doesn't even have anything to do inherently with Vince, but especially when he said Undertaker's my bit, all I could just think was, I look at him and I'm like, you're just so old and in the way. Like, again, like, that makes me an asshole. And that does make me a piece of shit, just unequivocally. It does, because that's a horrible way to think, right? Just because somebody's old doesn't mean they're in the way or they're horrible.
You're not saying all old people are in the way. You're merely making two observations about Vince. A, he's old, and B, he's also in the way. Both of which happen to be true. It's not necessarily a correlation. It's two individual, observations about Vince McMahon that happen to be true.
I feel like this is the psychoanalytical portion of TWitWoW, because I'm getting ready to ask you if it's bad that when Vince had that smile after he reiterated that Undertaker is his bitch, that all I could think to myself was, if me and him were on the same street and I just pushed him at the right time, I could save us so much trouble. Like,
okay, that's a little bit too far.
Yeah, I know we're going places, and this probably has so much to do with my childhood, but I'm just looking at Vince, and I'm like, so many problems. So many problems. I can't do it, man. It's just so bad. Like, they're never gonna eat anything. Particularly which actually, to be fair, with Stephanie, I guess it's always gonna be worse, because Vince has only come around now to really give that final push to Roman Reigns, because nothing else has been working, and neither is this. But, you look at Stephanie, and she's just on the product. Really, it feels like every week. If not every week, certainly every other week.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And you're not going to eat it. Like, it would have been amazing. I even went back, because all these weird clips that I went back and watched, I don't even know why I do it. It's that one of those, I'm in the weird part of YouTube kind of things. I rewatched the segment where she slapped Tom Phillips.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's my reaction. And I know it's, like, disparate, and how would you and I feel like we even talked about this on the TWitWoW. How cool would it have been if, like, Alicia Fox and Stephanie had a backstage segment, given Alicia Fox's interaction with Tom, and she would have been like, oh, I don't appreciate you putting your hands on my boyfriend like that. She's crazy, and Tom might deny it, but that doesn't matter. She's taking a stand, and then maybe she slaps Stephanie. How great that would be for somebody like Alicia Fox.
And of course, too, the closest thing to a comeuppance that Stephanie McMahon has gotten since Vicky Guerrero threw her into a pool of sludge is Roman Reigns catching a slap.
Exactly. Or if you want to dig a little bit, last year's WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey just grabbing her by the arm, but that's not even going to translate into anything this year because it couldn't come together.
Well, or at least of course it couldn't come together because the WWE was too ambitious for what the real world allows, and they thought, oh yeah, this is going to work out well. Dana White is going to be a super cool guy and let us use Ronda on one of our shows. Morons.
Yeah, you know what? And now that I think about it, as cool as that moment was, I'm going to steal one of your phrases that you've been using lately. I think it was only cool in a vacuum. Because to me, when you look at it in a broader kind of, what a slap in the face to the women's roster. That like,
that too, yeah.
Yeah, the only person that's good enough to get any kind of rub off Stephanie and defeat her a comeuppance is somebody that doesn't even work for us. In fact, works in a completely different industry, than us. And I don't know, because like, I think about Stephanie, the kind of heel that she is, and honestly, the one woman who I just want to see her feud with, if I knew they were going to do it right, I'd love to see a Bayley-Stephanie McMahon feud, because Bayley's the ultimate babyface, and if you really want to give her that momentum, holy fuck, have her cross paths, but you know why I don't want it? Because Stephanie would go over. I have no reason to believe otherwise. And that's the problem with the McMahons. That's the problem with this whole thing, because to bring it full circle, we're talking about these video packages. the stench of McMahon on this Mania is so noxious, I can barely even keep it down.
And who predicted this on the night Shane McMahon returned?
This guy.
This guy. I should have been like, who predicted this on the night Shane McMahon returned and has 2 thumbs? This guy.
This guy. Yeah, it's so bad, man. I don't know. And again, like, I don't want to lump Shane into that, because honestly, he's the least offensive of all of them, maybe because he actually is a babyface, so it makes it easier to go down. But damn, man, it's like, if your last name's McMahon, you're just untouchable. And it's really bad for everybody else.
That's kind of the point, honestly.
Yeah.
Dumb as it is, that's kind of, pretty sure that's what they're going for, brother.
Yeah. And another thing, too, since we're kind of talking about the dark places that my mind went on this Raw, I don't know why, but given how they're trying so hard to make Roman Reigns a badass, I had, like this partial thought in my mind when Triple H got in the limo. I'm like, is it gonna blow up? Like, are we gonna
I think everyone, the limo at this point has become a Chekhov gun, because every limo that doesn't blow up, there's a little piece of every wrestling fan that knows about that whole limo exploding right before Benoit tragedy. And we're all just waiting for them to jump the shark again and go full blown, this is
like,
what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt I have serious issues, but I was just thinking when Triple H was getting in that, I was waiting for him to do the double take and look around, and I was going to be like, oh my god, it's going to blow. And I'm not just talking about this storyline, because we're already there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You're so poignant, John.
Thank you, sir, thank you. But yeah, after these video packages, what do we get?
The first one, and then, the second one was later on in the night, but we already talked about both of them, so fuck it, let's just move on. League of Nations come out, and they cut a promo on how they destroyed the New Day, and how the New Day sucks, and then the New Day come out, and they cut a promo on each individual member of the League of Nations, and tell them about how Bootios make sure that you ain't booty, and that New Day rocks, and then we have a brawl leading into a match that's Big E versus Rusev.
You know what, before we get to the match, Ashton, I just have to say, and again, I'm trying to be self-aware here if I feel like I could be in the wrong. So maybe this is me being salty, but not that this was, bad or anything, but even this had a little something that bothered me. League of Nations wasn't selling at all the New Day's insults.
You know what, though? I guess my thing is, I loved Barrett's reaction to them talking about how he's not even a king anymore, because to me that was just him not giving a single shit, because he's not even going to be around for more than a few months, so why even bother?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Hey, I'm leaving in the next little bit, so fuck it, this promo's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was corpsing at that point. They were like, you're worthless, and he was like, boom!
Eggs. See, now that you put it like that, I got a smile on my face. So I guess I owe you one for that. But
and I love, too, that Kofi was just like, to Sheamus, your parents could have even called you Steven. That's his real name.
Exactly.
I love that. These little tiny nods that some people pick up, and the ones that do have much better lives for it.
I will say, though, as far as the match itself goes, I liked it.
Oh my god, this is a really solid match. It's weird because the match quality started pretty high and then just went downhill throughout the entire rest of the night.
Yeah.
Match 1 was really, really good. Match 2 was solid. Match 3 was worthless. Match 4 didn't have a finish. Match 5 was pretty good. Match 6 was a squash. Match 7 didn't have a finish.
Exactly. And with this matchup, I don't know what it is lately. Maybe it's just me looking more into it than what's actually there. But I actually feel like they're making a conscious decision to kind of build Big E up a little bit, because he was impressive in this match. Honestly, what I liked about the booking of this match, first of all, the guy's got a beautiful belly-to-belly suplex. So that was really good to see him get those off.
Yeah.
I love the power game that he displays, but I think the best thing they did about this match was that if it wasn't for the League of Nations' consistent interference, Big E could have beaten Rusev on his own. And I know that sounds very basic since the New Day are babyfaces now, and that's how it should be done. But we know, I think it was Kofi that came in and kicked Rusev in the back of the head, which allowed Big E to get the big ending. Well, that only happened because the League of Nations presence was so persistent in this match. Like, they had to do something because they just wouldn't stop interfering. But if it wasn't a match with any interference, Big E's such a beast, he could have beaten Rusev on his own. And I think, considering how Rusev debuted and how he started out, that both A, shows how much steam that Rusev has lost, and B, shows how much steam that Big E has gained by contrast. Yeah. Because I think they see, that's why I loved his booking in the tag match, both with how he manhandled AJ and stood toe-to-toe with Jericho when they retained the titles that one week. And now this week, yeah, he totally hung in there with Rusev. He would have beaten Rusev if the League of Nations, just on his own, if the League of Nations hadn't insisted on just interfering constantly. And even then, the New Day, still came in there, which, I'm happy for Big E, and you know that I especially have been saying on Twitter, I think this guy, all the qualities to be a world champion, all the qualities to be a main event. Now, I know you've co-signed onto that because you especially, because that's when I had my drop-off, saw Big E's NXT Championship run. But again, you really did pick the perfect word, that on that review when you said vacuum for the Stephanie McMahon segment. Because, again, in a vacuum, that's great. But we have this 6-man tag or whatever's going on at Mania for the WWE Tag Team titles. And the opposition, being the League of Nations, you've already lost 2 title matches. You lost the Wade Barrett match when Kofi went against him. And now you lose this matchup, Rusev versus Big. New Day has your number. New Day so clearly has your number. It's ridiculous.
And yet New Day is still probably going to drop the titles to you at WrestleMania because writing.
Exactly. So you're not even credible because, again, they've beaten you so many times. Even I'm starting to pity you, and I relish in other people's failures. And
you really do.
I really do. And now you're probably going to get the win anyway, which, talk about illegitimizing a championship that the New Day worked so hard to build up. Everything about this is wrong. But I still love New Day, though.
Yeah. New Day was great. I love that they haven't changed their character. They're just going against bad guys now.
Although, because it's funny. I came into this TWitWoW thinking, you know what? Let's go back to our roots. Let's try and pull out as many silver linings as we can. And maybe that's been kind of a mangled job, but I did think of another silver lining with the New Day being baby faces. I want Blake and Murphy to end their tag title run now. That should be who ends it now. If it's not going to be Enzo and Cass with them as heels, it needs to be Blake and Murphy with them as baby faces.
Don't do that to me, John.
But I'm right.
But it's not going to happen because the freaking League of Nations are going to win it from them at Mania.
But notice how the words "you're wrong" were not in that sentence. Ergo,
wanting it to happen. There's a song that's called "Needing Wanting," and needing is one thing, but it's not needing wanting. It's needing getting, and wanting getting, something like that. Needing is one thing, getting's another.
You know what, though, dude? To me, look, I throw out Blake and Murphy as an example because if you really do give it to League,
because NXT's tag division is actually good.
It really is. Hell, Blake and Murphy or any heel NXT tag team within reason, of course. Because
in other
League
words,
of Nations,
anyone but the Hype Bros.
Yeah, and the Hype. Well, we think they're heels because they're so awful, but they really are supposed to be baby faces.
Supposed to be,
just like Roman Reigns is supposed to be a baby face. Obviously, don't you hear those cheers every week?
I personally see the Hype Bros as a hostage situation because Zack Ryder is being forced against his will to tag with Mojo Rawley because it's the only way he ends up on television anytime.
You know what, though? Maybe this is my Johnny Scumbag moment. He's used up the rope. He's going to WrestleMania. You stay with Mojo Rawley, all right? No more sympathy for you.
What do you mean?
He's getting in the Intercontinental Championship. He's in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match at Mania.
Right.
And as somebody tweeted out to me, it was DBK because, for whatever reason, I'd like to think that I'm a pretty nice person, but people like to throw things in my face. DBK tweeted to me, Zack Ryder, he's both going to WrestleMania and he's dating Emma. This has really been his year. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he's doing fine.
What's wrong with that, John?
I don't want to talk about it. Is my response to that.
Why not?
No, I don't want to talk about it, damn it. Oh, God, ow. I just gotta stop banging my desk. Why are you making me bang my desk? So,
Well,
yeah.
We know you're not banging Emma, so you gotta bang something.
Oh, this guy's got jokes. Motherfucker. All right. What came after this, whatever it was we were talking about? Oh, yeah, it was Biggie and Rusev.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt cut a promo. Well, the whole family really did, and it was really weird this time because Braun said that the War of God would be watching tonight and that he was going to sacrifice Dean's soul to it.
Yeah, the God of War. I don't know which one they were referring to.
Ares.
Yeah, Ares, probably. You know, dude, it's just...
Maybe Mars, we don't know.
Maybe.
I like Mars.
Maybe Athena, you know, if you want to, you know.
Athena, that's a good one.
Yeah, Greek mythology, you know. But my thing is...
We have a Greek listener. I saw a comment.
Oh, did we? That's awesome. But you look at these promos, I've said it before. It means nothing to me anymore without it. You always talk about like how you're going to take over the world.
And we're going to make this great sacrifice.
And nothing happens. I even read reports. Oh, we've got big plans for Bray Wyatt after Mania. And I threw my head back and laughed because I'm like, wow, WWE is in such a pitiful state. They actually consider being fed to Roman Reigns' big plans. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you so hard.
Oh, right, though.
It's like they call Bray into his office. Bray, you know, you're young, you're hungry, you're a go-getter, and your work has been excellent. You've done everything we've asked you to do. It's time you be rewarded for that. Oh, my God. Am I finally getting pushed? You're damn right you are. You're getting the ultimate push.
Right into the open mouth of Roman Reigns.
I was going to say a 3 pay-per-view program, with Roman Reigns. Oh,
do I get to win a match?
No, you're losing all 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
But wait, if he beats me once, why would I get a rematch? Oh, you can talk yourself out of that, kid. You're good.
I'm sorry, fam. I'm sorry. And then he just saunters on.
But surely after 2 losses, there would be no reason for Roman to give me a rematch. Yeah, but you can talk yourself out of it, kid. You're that talented.
Because remember, anyone but you, Roman. That's the narrative.
But, I mean, after all, that is what you used to say, right?
But it is Roman now, so it makes no anybody but you, Roman. Go with it, damn it. All right. And then he sulks onto the back. Because, I mean, really, I'm just projecting myself onto the situation, but, I mean, why wouldn't I? I'm me. So...
Well, I mean, Bray Wyatt is kind of the personification of the IWC.
That is so true. No wonder I look upon him so fondly. Or at least I used to until I realized that it was going to be nothing but a never-ending circle jerk of emptiness and pain. Wow, this Raw's really taken me places. What came after this?
I can't wait for Bray Wyatt to headline Payback at Extreme Rules, John.
Oh. My life. So what came after this promo? Let's just keep going.
After the Bray Wyatt promo was the Snickers commercial with Alicia Fox and Naomi and Todd Chrisley.
You know what, Ashton? I'm actually so glad that we're going to talk about this. Because... Don't laugh. Don't laugh before I even...
I'm so impressed you even got that far.
Don't laugh before I even finish. Said every WWE creative writer ever to the audience.
Yeah.
Because this segment was so brilliant that my high spot actually went to something in this segment. The mute button, because it saved me so much agony, both seeing Todd Chrisley on a WWE product when I really never wanted to see those things mix, and then Natalya right afterwards. Like, if nothing else, WWE certainly has got their 1-2 punch combination down, but what they didn't count on was me muting their product, which is funny that they would never anticipate that.
They kind of did count on it, actually.
Well, then, you know what? I still take the victory. Whether they anticipated it or not, I used it. I don't even know what was said here. I don't even know the context of the joke. I don't care. I have nothing against Snickers. I mean, I don't really eat them.
It was a normal Snickers joke. It was Natalia as Todd Chrisley, and then, oh, Natalia, here, eat a Snickers. You're not yourself when you're hungry.
And then she eats
and
it.
And then it was Todd Chrisley at the time, and he ate the Snickers, and it turns out, oh, it was Natalia the whole time.
Right.
Like this, the Snickers gag.
And then it's like, better? I'm a heart and entitled to everything. I mean, better. Yeah.
Same thing. Thanks, Natty.
Alright, so what came after this?
Why don't you go complain to Stephanie McMahon that you haven't won the Divas title again?
Yeah, why don't you drunk dial her? Oh my god, Total Divas. I mean, that's another one, right? Because we respect women and we're having a Divas revolution. You want to know what one of the plot lines of the latest Total Divas is going to be? Eva Marie and Mandy, they want Eva Marie to have her hair go blonde, I guess, because they're going to make them a tag team or something. And Eva Marie's having this existential crisis because I just can't imagine going blonde. I mean,
because literally her entire identity, the entire appeal of Eva Marie is red hair.
And, it's so funny because I've heard the joke, right? We've all heard the joke. First world problems. I mean, this hit me like a Mack truck. As a first world problem. I have to dye my hair. Gag me. Gag me with something so violent I pass out from the pain and possibly even die so I don't have to put up with this crap.
Why do we watch that show?
We're partially masochists? I don't know.
It's so bad.
I think, you know what? I think Raw lays the groundwork for our masochistic tendencies, and then I think we almost feel obligated to watch Total Divas. This way we feel worthy to watch the greatness that is Lucha Underground the following night. I think it is some deep psychological shit, man. That's what I think.
Is it like Stockholm Syndrome?
Potentially. It's like, imagine WWE is our kidnapper, and Lucha Underground is the hour of fresh air that we get every week, and we don't feel entitled to the fresh air unless we do everything that our captor says, including consuming the content. And, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
That seems like an unhealthy relationship.
It does, and yet we're stuck here. Stuck here on the road to nowhere. So what came after this?
Apparently you crying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely on the itinerary.
Well, up next, Big Show's face again, folks.
Oh, you know what, though? This may surprise some people.
This was an entertaining segment.
I liked this promo.
Yeah.
I did. Because you know what? The self-awareness in it was so fucking refreshing.
It was.
It's like, I know I talk about being the greatest giant of all time, but I'm really not. I do that to pump myself up, and I'm like, I almost feel bad, but I'm like, you know what? I get you, man. I get you. I do stuff, and I'm like, I'm the best that ever did it, even though I know I'm nowhere near it. Just helps me get through it. And then when he's like, I haven't won my share of Battle Royals, I could have hugged the man. I could have been like, you know what? That is so honest of you to say. That is so honest of you to say, I'm going to give you a pass. And then not only was I going to give him a pass, I was going to give this segment a thumbs up when the Social Outcasts came out.
Oh, yeah, they were great. I freaking love the Social Outcasts.
Exactly. Like, they are wonderful. You know what isn't wonderful, though? So, let's just recap. Well, yeah, Kane. Just to recap, though, we get a self-aware giant, really refreshing. Social Outcasts, always entertaining.
And
Kane.
A 4-on-1 beatdown where the 4 people actually got the advantage over the giant.
That's right, because that, kind of precipitated, Kane coming out.
Yeah.
But then Kane, like, how?
Why, at what point did Kane and the Big Show become BFFs? Like, they just kind of hung out in the Authority and now they're BFFs for life.
Well, I mean, are they, though? Because Kane...
Well, you would think so, because Kane straight up came out to save Big Show, and then Big Show hugged Kane, which was actually, I thought, hilarious. But then, for seemingly no reason whatsoever, Kane chokeslams Big Show off the middle rope. You know what, John? I know what it was.
Yeah.
He was protecting the Big Show from the pyro.
Ah.
Because he was about to shoot off his pyro, and Kane and Big Show was on the turnbuckle. He would have gotten it right in the face.
You know what, though? Even though Kane was bad, I have to give WWE credit. At least they did bad with a little bit of style. Because I still laughed at this because besides the hug, which I agree with you was hilarious.
I loved that.
You had Big Show say, Kane's the man, yeah, and he's posing on the top rope. And then when Kane straddles him by the throat with the choke slam, you could actually audibly hear Big Show say, what are you doing, Kane? I don't know. Building the fucking match? Like, what are
Dude, were you not paying attention? My pyro is set up to go off. You don't want to be standing there.
You know what? Big Show... This might be the best babyface run that Big Show's ever had. Because clearly, he's just like the rest of us. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Oh, you're in the armbar? Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought I was building the match. Hey, your hand's a little close to my throat there, guy. What are you doing?
Guy? I want to know when Big Show became Canadian.
Oh, Every 3 hours of my life on Mondays from 8 to 11 is just pure agony. And this is how I get through it. Because it's either that or a drinking problem.
Oh my god.
You know this show is bad. Oh my god, but you know what? I don't know, man. Big Show's face, I mean, it wasn't even him who said, like, I wake up. And I don't even know if I'm face or...
Yeah.
I mean, if you're asking yourself that before you go to work, you might want to look into having a different employer. Because holy fuck. Oh my god.
Do we really want him in Lucha Underground, though?
I did not say Lucha Underground.
You know who I really do want in Lucha Underground, though, is the frickin' Wyatt family.
Oh my god, they'd know how to use him. See, now you said I was teasing you earlier with Blake and Murphy and Face New Day. That is teasing me, good sir, because Bray Wyatt and Lucha Underground. That's all I've got to say about that. So let's move on. Kane stands tall.
I'm really glad that's all you have to say about that.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I have to know how uncomfortable.
9.
So close. Alright.
Before we move on, though, I just want to point out that Curtis Axel and I have a mental uplink.
That's amazing.
Because when the Social Outcast first came out, Bo was just like, we're like a Cinderella story. And then Axel's like, no, we're not Cinderella. We're something cool, like Voltron. And literally before he said that, I said, they're not Cinderella, they're Voltron. So yeah, the mental uplink between me and Curtis Axel is real.
Well, I mean, you do have a pretty excellent imitation of his laugh. So I feel like
expect it. I'm not doing it.
No, I didn't expect it.
But I will go, yay!
That laugh needs to be saved for momentous occasions, like when Curtis Axel clearly wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal this year.
Because Axel Mania!
I picked him to win last year.
And he was the first.
Yeah, he was. Oh, man. Alright, so what came after this?
Stan Hansen is being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and this is great news as far as I'm concerned. I freaking love Stan Hansen.
Yeah, I mean, I actually saw a compilation video of his lariat. I mean, that's impact right there.
Yeah.
We also could have called this the JBL pitches a tent moment of the night because he was clearly excited about this induction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, JBL's happy, Stan Hansen's happy, and we're all happy. And can I just say as a side note, and this clearly shows Stockholm Syndrome or something, because I even kind of like JBL tonight, in particular when it came to the Kevin Owens stuff, because he really put KO over, and he really showed himself as a fan of Kevin Owens.
So that's more just a mutual interest than you actually like.
It's a mutual interest, and it was great to see him doing his job as a heel commentator, you know, standing with the heels. So I gotta give him ups for that. I thought
until the Usos come out later on in the night, and he creams his pants.
I know. You could be so good if you weren't so inconsistent. Why? Why do you do this to me? Take pages out of Jerry Lawler's book, for God's sakes. But yeah, when it came to the Kevin Owens stuff and the whole IC Championship program, I liked the work that he did. So I just want to make that side note. But yeah, Stan Hansen inducted, great stuff. And apparently, it's funny that we talk about JBL as well, because he's rumored to be one of the inductees. I don't know if they're still going to go through that, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But after Stan Hansen's induction, what happened next?
Up next, Fandango versus Chris Jericho.
You know, Lance Storm actually made the best point on Twitter. I don't know if bringing up that Fandango beat Chris Jericho in really his first match at a WrestleMania is going to do the program of AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho many favors. So, yeah. I mean, really...
No, but you know what, though? I will say, we're doing the silver lining thing. I think it worked out here, though, because Jericho beat Fandango despite AJ Styles' distraction. So that tells you that Jericho is a lot better now than he was back then.
That's an excellent point. And that I will concede that ground to you, definitely. Because, and you even said it to me, because in conversation when we were watching Raw, if you remember, I was like, oh, AJ can't even distract an opposition properly, or Fandango can't even win off a distraction. And you more or less said, well, think about the quality of opponent here. Like right. Jericho, like Fandango was trying to capitalize on Fandango was trying to capitalize on Jericho, whereas Kevin Owens capitalized on AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking a great disparity between those performers. So yeah, I'll give that ground to you absolutely. And to be fair, and this is biased, it is great that we got to see Fandango on TV. Like any reason, because I'm even thinking about that AfterBuzz TV review with Carly Perez, who, if those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, that is Katrina on Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And she is still very fond of Johnny Curtis all this time later. She actually said on the show that he could do anything. And honestly, I mean, that's another guy, oddly enough, I'd like to see in Lucha Underground. Because even if he would be in that kind of Ricky Mandel, famous B kind of like hierarchy, like I still
he'd be one of the really entertaining ones.
Exactly. Without question. So, really, that's two silver linings. One, you're absolutely right, Ashton, because it tells the story, well, Jericho's even better now than he was then, which, again, I'll give you that ground wholeheartedly. And two, if you're a Fandango fan, you just got to be relieved that he didn't go missing, and that you actually saw him. So, there you go. Good stuff all around. Jericho wins off the code breaker.
And he tried to win, too, because he almost hit that leg drop that he used to beat Jericho in the first place.
He really did, bud. He gave it everything he had.
He just missed. Jericho rolled out of the way.
Yeah, he did.
Damn it.
I'm surprised we're being this somber about it. I didn't really expect this.
Well, I'm a sucker for Fandango / Johnny Curtis.
Chloroform for life.
I mean, after all, she smells like cinnamon. Toast crunch.
Oh, you did the sniff and everything. Oh my god, go talk to Marty the Moth. Ugh.
I know, I freaking love Fandango interviews, though.
Oh my god, now I'm just
real journalism.
Now I'm just picturing chloroform Johnny Curtis with sniffing Melissa Santos, Marty the Moth. Like, do I want it? Do I want it though? I think I do.
Tag team.
I think the darkest recesses of my mind actually wants it. So I'm just gonna put that in the box and chuck it in the sea and never open that up again.
Put Marty and Fandango in choke collars so that Mariposa can be like the ringleader.
Yeah, we are definitely putting all of that in the box. Yeah, that's never coming to see the light of day. But because I want it and because it's so disturbing. So yeah, AJ lays the gauntlet for WrestleMania because fourth match, why not? No stipulation or anything because pride is all that matters. So, I mean, we're going to assume that it's going to happen. And do any of you even really care? I don't know. Answer me, people. So what did we get after this?
How are they supposed to answer? Like,
I don't...
on the other side of the computer.
I don't know. It's not your fault, guys. You're the only people I don't even loathe, and that really says a lot given that it's me. I love you guys, so let's just move on.
Okay, up next was our second part of our Shane McMahon video package, so let's move on from that. Kevin Owens comes out to announce an Intercontinental Championship #1 contender triple threat, and he does this great build-up for the first contender, and then he says they even have star in their name. It's Stardust.
Yeah, Kevin Owens, man. I love that this is a guy that'll put his back into everything, even when it's something like this. Like, it's just ring introductions for, I don't want to call Stardust or Zack Ryder or Sin Cara nobodies, but they are lower card guys. I mean, that's not an affront to say that. Right. And yet he still, like, infuses this charismatic element into it all, and it's just so great. Like, dude, I wish I wasn't so jaded by the current product, because if I was more optimistic, and more importantly, if they gave me a reason to be optimistic, do you know how excited I'd be for Kevin Owens' career? Like, I would just be so ready for it to take off at any time. And yet I just always catch this, like, hitch in my throat waiting for anything. And I'm just grateful that he even has a title and he's doing something, because he's just so good. Like, he should go so much farther than what I think he's ultimately going to go. I love this guy. So, yeah, did an introduction for Stardust, did another one for Sin Cara, and then didn't he kind of give the shaft to Zack Ryder? Like, I know he gave something to Zack Ryder, but it almost seemed like he kind of brushed him off.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and then they have a matchup, which, you know, like, again, you look at it in a vacuum, it'd actually be kind of cool seeing these three, like, lower card guys getting an opportunity like this against one of the more prominent, like, mid-card heels that is a bully that does throw his weight around, and Kevin Owens would make for a great story by itself. But the problem is it gets mangled up with this other story of Ziggler, Zayn, and Miz, which you don't even really need Ziggler and Miz in the equation. It should just be Zayn Owens. Like, I don't know about you, Ashton. Let me ask you something, because I never really know your activity during Raw. Did you tweet at all during this Raw tonight, or were you just kind of doing your own thing during this Raw, you know, while watching it, or did you seeing it?
I tweeted twice during Raw tonight.
Yeah, I tweeted a little bit. Like, I did have that drop-off again, which I do apologize, guys, for anybody that was keeping up with me. It's just this Raw is so draining consistently. Even if it's good, just 3 hours is a lot to keep up with. But I even saw, like, a lot on Twitter that people said they got it mixed up. Like, the U.S. title match should have been the multi-man match, and this should have been the match of the story. Now, again, if we want to look at silver linings, and I actually want to give full credit, absolutely, to Alex Foster here, because I'm even looking at his tweet right now. He said, at least it gives more people a chance, especially if it set Zayn versus Owens up during the summer. And that is where I will give credit. You're giving all of these undercard guys a spot at WrestleMania that you may not have expected, which is pretty cool to see if you want to be optimistic and you want to see people succeed, which we always say on TWitWoW we do. And I do have to believe, maybe it's naivety, maybe it's optimism, maybe it's a nice cocktail of both, that this is going to be the summer program, and that Zayn versus Owens may be one of the bigger matchups at SummerSlam this year. Because, like I even told you, if they were going to do a summer program, I'd love to see them do a back and forth.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, and you know, and again, yes, there is bias here, but as a narrative, you know what I would do. Have Zayn win the Intercontinental Championship at Mania, but then have him get screwed out of the briefcase at Money in the Bank and have Owens win that. And then have them, like, do this big matchup at SummerSlam. I don't know what you'd want to do then, like maybe everything at stake, maybe nothing at stake, and you just want to settle on a big stage, something. But have them go back and forth a little bit, really have that rivalry. I think you could have a great summer story with these two. I really, really do. And I hope that we get it, because if we do, I'm cool with all these guys getting on the card. I agree with everybody, you know, that's been saying you should have made the multi-man match, the U.S. Championship match, and all that stuff. No doubt that they're right. But if this is going to be one of the headlining stories of the summer, let Zack Ryder get his payday. Let Sin Cara know what it's like to be in a big matchup at WrestleMania, so that it's not all about Kalisto and his U.S. title run.
Yeah.
Give Stardust something, because God only knows Cody Rhodes is one of the most committed performers in the game right now, and it is such a travesty how his stock has fallen, because when you want to talk about a guy that gives his all and is so good for as young as he is, he deserves to be here. So I can't even be salty in that, oh, it should have been this story. I get it. I totally get it, but if we're going to get it during the summer, I'm not going to look at these guys who are just doing a job, and God knows they've avoided being injured. Don't you think they at least deserve a WrestleMania spot, given the shitstorm that WWE's undergone recently?
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it, man. And I know that may be surprising over it, because I know we've really taken the piss out of the show, but really, I want to be more reflective, because I want to really credit Alex Foster for that, because, yeah, he's absolutely right. Because, yeah, I was hyperbole, and I was like, oh, this is a travesty against Kevin Owens, and and, you know, all that stuff. And then he's like, but it gives more people a chance, and Kevin Owens is such a great champion, and it gives the underdogs a chance when Vince won't, which actually was literally a tweet he sent out, and he's 100% right. Fuck you, Vince. Take notes from Kevin Owens. But it's just great to see these guys get some shine, because WWE has been through such a shitstorm. They stayed healthy. They put in their time. Some of these guys have had ebbs and flows in their career. And I mean, I am looking at Zack Ryder. Tried so hard to get himself over, got the U.S. Championship run. And it's good to see guys like that get this shine. I do think, again, my fantasy booking, I would have Sammy win, but then I'd give Kevin Owens the bigger prize of Money in the Bank. And yes, I will readily admit, a lot of bias there. But then you have a big matchup at SummerSlam. Big matchup between these two. And
would you do briefcase versus title?
You know what? I think I would. And again, biased, but personally, I would have Kevin Owens win because I feel like the babyface is supposed to struggle anyway. And I think when you have Sammy hit rock bottom, he can just scratch and claw his way back up and be more beloved than before. Because I'm sure WWE remembers what struggle looks like, right? And then you see that Roman Reigns is still a
I was just going to say, if you look at the Roman Reigns feud, I guess not.
Yeah, and then, yeah. But, I mean, again, like, you don't even have to follow my exact model because, again, there's a lot of bias going on there. If you'd want maybe Owens to win in different situations and Sammy win in others, that's fine. But I think what I'm trying to get at is do a back and forth with these two. You know, because it's not enough anymore.
So you're saying you want 50-50 booking here.
You know what? I think in this case it could work. As weird as that sounds, because to me, Ashton, in my opinion, I don't know if there's any more momentum you could use. I don't know if there's any energy left or gas you could tap with the whole, we have a history that goes all the way back. You got to build a history here. And they've done a great job in NXT. But now on the main roster, I think it's a chance to write a whole new, fresh history. And I think just really dropping bombs on each other in the summer, going back and forth would be a great way to. I mean, I'm already visualizing in my head, dude, like a battered Sami Zayn, just looking like death with each successive rung. And he gets right at the top, and Kevin Owens comes in with a chair because he knows he can't take Sammy off that ladder on his own merits and just hits Sammy repeatedly in the back. And when he goes thud, so do all of his championship dreams. Kevin Owens gets that briefcase, and you get such an Edge-esque moment when he won his first one at WrestleMania 21. Like, I don't know. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. And then you have Sammy. Maybe you do give him the SummerSlam win if it was just like a big matchup, like who's better, because we know Money in the Bank winners have a tendency to lose anyway. So, I mean, why change tradition, right? And you do that. I just think you have a really great opportunity to tell their own story.
And the tradition is shitty.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's not that I disagree with you, but if you're going to think like WWE, and I'm trying to think like them as best as I can in some ways, it can work. You know, I think they could do something great this summer, so I'm going to be patient. If we don't get it, then I'm going to be like, wow, so you screwed us over both at Mania and SummerSlam. But I'm going to be patient. I'm going to exercise temperance. I'm going to be like, you know what, it's good, because Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, just like the power of positivity, their greatness is holding it down. And yes, folks, you did actually hear me give Sami Zayn credit. I would advise you not to get used to it. So now, what came after this?
Oh, man. After this was, well, I mean, we kind of touched on the triple threat and all that stuff, so let's move on past that. Natalya versus Charlotte with Becky and Sasha on commentary, and I'm going to just go ahead and say it, guys. Sasha is probably the best overall female performer in the WWE. Becky Lynch is the best talker in the female division.
Yeah, I would agree. I love like how she says, "Oh, I'm gonna take the arm and I'm gonna take the championship." I love how like she infuses.
Becky, what are you gonna do if you lose? Oh, I'm gonna keep getting back up and trying again.
Yeah, right. I love that, and I love how like she didn't even.
She does never give up without making it corny.
Exactly, like. And you know what I loved about it, too, to kind of build on your point? She didn't even try and buck the accusation, like, what are you going to do if you lose? She wasn't even like, oh, I'm not going to lose, I'm going to do that. No, she was just like,
because that would be heelish, I feel like.
Exactly, and I think she knows that. So instead, again, to your point, she says, well, I'm just going to keep on going, because it's like gasoline to a fire. And if I lose at WrestleMania, I mean, I don't think I will. Obviously, I'm going to say that I'm going to win. But if I lose, it's just going to be more gasoline on that fire, and sooner or later, that fire is just going to consume everything around me, including the Divas Championship, and I will be your champion. Like, that is so good and so on point.
And I love that the promo she cut on SmackDown, too. Call me this, call me that, but by the end of WrestleMania, you're going to be calling me your Divas Champion.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say, if Roman Reigns cut a promo like that, maybe they could make a babyface thing work, because I think, again, as we've already discussed numerous times, the problems are of a far greater depth than just promo content.
Yeah.
But, it certainly doesn't hurt when you know how to cut a babyface promo. And Becky Lynch, bless her heart, because she's wonderful and I'm so happy for her success, knows how to cut a babyface promo. She is so likable. That honestly, I mean, if we're looking at it objectively, as it stands right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Becky Lynch walked out of WrestleMania with the championship. Because
Yep.
this really does kind of feel like, in a way, her story. I mean, she got screwed, on the one episode of Raw. I think that was where the first match took place. I mean, she certainly got screwed at Rumble. And even though I know you and I are big-time Sasha Banks fans, and I will pop so big if she wins that title, I wouldn't be offended, from a narrative standpoint, even as a fan, if Becky got the Raw. I mean, it's like you and I said, to kind of channel Bray Wyatt. Anyone but you, Charlotte. Anyone but you. So, yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. The Charlotte-Natalya matchup, I mean, it wasn't bad, but honestly, I really got my fill of these two for a while at Roadblock.
There was one false finish in there where I didn't know if they were going to actually have Charlotte lose this close to Mania.
Yeah, dude, I actually, and I will give them credit for this, there was a point in this matchup where I'm like, no way. Is Natalya actually going to win this and they're going to make it a last-minute fatal four-way? And I'm just like, no, fuck that. And then when Charlotte won, I'm like, okay, you preserved the integrity of the most coherent matchup on your card.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, good
Same
stuff.
reaction as me.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, Charlotte looking strong, wins this non-title matchup, which, I mean, she better. You're the freaking champion, and your opposition is already legitimate enough. You don't need to go and start losing to other people now. So, she wins. Becky and Sasha seem particularly confident heading into Mania, and I still can't wait for this matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
For sure, yeah. This is definitely going to be one of the best matches on the card, I hope. My only concern is if it doesn't get enough time because, I don't know, we need to fit more time for a live music performance, even though people are paying their money to get wrestling tickets.
I hate that they do live music performances every year. Like, I get the Star Spangled Banner or the National Anthem or whatever patriotic song they do every year. Like, I get that, all right? Because I feel like every major event, in that kind of vein does that crap.
I mean, let's just be real, though. Like, you get it, but it's still annoying.
Yeah.
At least to me. I don't want to speak for you, but to me...
No, you're right.
It's still, to a degree, it's still annoying.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. But then, it's even worse, though, when you actually try and fit a concert into your show. Like, if I want to go to a concert, I go to a concert. More specifically, I'll go to a concert. Tickets. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll go to a concert of a performer I like. Do not force feed me this crap. How dare you? Like, I'm already giving you my $10. Some people, poor people are still giving you $50 or
you
more.
You are violating my right to enjoy what I want to enjoy.
Exactly. Like, it's disgusting. It is disgusting. And you know what? Like, I only say that because...
I am very triggered right now, John.
I'm feeling it too because of what you said, because it's a legitimate point. I could see this matchup getting minutes shaved off of it because, we gotta make time for that Flo Rida, though.
We gotta make time for that Florida Georgia line.
Flo Rida, who got embarrassed by the infinitely superior Bo Rida. That rap he did was legend status.
Indeed, it was.
And you're just gonna be like, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, I know you women worked really, really hard in NXT, and
you're still gonna be on WrestleMania. How great of a consolation prize is that?
How much time are we getting? 7 minutes. Aww. Because we need to give a half hour to that Flo Rida concert.
At that point, I would protest. I would just be like, you know what? If you don't want us to wrestle a match that we're capable of wrestling, just pull us off the card and at least give us some fuel to complain about in our promos.
Yeah. But then, they would just be like, no, you're having your match. And then I'm sure one of them would think, well, I'm wrestling it out of protest. And then they walk off. Oh, this company. So what came after this?
Bubba Ray Dudley versus R-Truth.
Jesus Christ. Why did I even ask?
Yeah.
You know what was so stupid about this match? And this is the second time they've done it now.
Where do I start?
Well, I mean, that's a good point. Where do you start? But what I was thinking specifically was, when the fuck, and I'm sorry, but it feels warranted here, when the fuck did Bubba Ray's finisher become a big boot? Like, why can't that just be a setup to a Bubba? It just doesn't feel right to me. And I know that's the weirdest thing to complain about, but it doesn't feel right to me.
How is that weird to complain about? You're complaining about a wrestler being beat by a secondary move.
It's painful, man. It hurts. Make the pain stop. A boot. A boot. A guy that's never been known for... Das Boot, yeah. A guy that's never been known for a boot. I could understand the full Nelson slam, the Bubba cutter, hell, even a sit-out powerbomb, because you are a bigger-looking guy, and, you could pull something like that off, even if it is kind of generic. But a boot. Especially a boot. Like, we're not even talking a boot, the quality of Test's boot, because I think Test did one of the best big boots ever. Like, I still go back and I watch some of his big boots, and I'm like,
Luke
damn,
Harper, too.
Luke Harper, too. Yeah, I agree with you. Luke Harper, I think, is almost like a spiritual successor to Test's boot, because, it's just so great. That boot looks like trash. It looks like it should be a setup, not a finish. And you win with it. And it was one thing when Goldust won, because I at least give him the credit, well, he got tied up in the ropes, and he was distracted, whatever. No, this is a straight-on, in-your-face kind of kick, and I got a 3 count. Like, oh, it hurts. And then they were beating him down, and then Goldust came out, because we're doing this now.
Oh my god, I feel like someone just asked you where the man touched you.
Oh my god. I deserve better than this. I mean, yes, I laugh at the misfortunes of others, but doesn't everyone? I deserve better than this, damn it.
I think that might be a John exclusive trait.
You know what? Nobody asked you, man. I'm sorry. It's not you. I'm sorry.
Just taking your anger out on me.
Sorry. You don't have to take it so personally. God, you act like you're about to walk out the door. Oh, my God.
I think that's your insecurity coming out, John.
You're right. It's so repressed. Oh my God. And then they get out the tables, even though it's like, oh, we're not doing tables anymore, but haha, we lied because we're heels.
Muggle.
And then the Usos came out because nothing says, like, we're over and we're going to do a good thing, like the Usos, who are the most...
Nothing says purebred baby faces quite like, let's 4-on-2 team up on these guys.
It doesn't make any sense, man. I almost feel like paraphrasing Will, how come they hate me, man? Just these storylines don't work. Why are the Usos getting this right? Because especially now I have to double down. Okay, I'm going to collect myself, and now I'm going to double down. If the New Day are babyfaces, this should be the first program for Enzo and Cass then. Like, I feel like you're wasting away the potential of heel Dudleys, okay? Now I don't know what you're going to do with the New Day after this, which is both intriguing and horrifying at the same time because it's WWE.
Honestly, dude, I think the issue here is that Vince does not really even think about what's going on in NXT. Like, it's weird because, like, NXT has all this great stuff going on, but Vince isn't, like, directly working with Triple H to be like, hey, Triple H, do you have any guys that you think are ready to come up? It doesn't really work that way. It's more along the lines of Vince comes up with a random half-assed idea, and he's like, I could really use somebody to play this role. Triple H, do you have anyone for me in NXT? And then Triple H is like, yeah, I've got this guy. He's blonde. He's a model. You can really do some stuff with him. And then Vince is like, great, put him on TV. And then 3 weeks later, Vince is like, this guy sucks. Let's job him out.
Exactly. It's like, oh, Vince, I have this quality guy. His name's Tyler Breeze. I don't buy it. Put him on Superstars. And like,
have him job to Zack Ryder.
Oh my God.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Tyler Breeze lost to Zack Ryder on Superstars last week.
You know what? I think I found our debut episode for that network special. Just me and Tyler Breeze holding each other and crying out of, Zack Ryder destroying both of our lives.
That's the title. John and Tyler Breeze holding each other tight.
Yeah. I am so sorry he ruined your life too, Tyler. I am so sorry.
Let's bring you back down to NXT where the bad man can't hurt you anymore.
I want to go back to NXT. Why are we still talking about this show? 3 hours. Why? So the Usos come out, they're like, oh, we're going to give you tables because, beating down people, I mean, to your point, 4-on-2, and then, using a weapon because you haven't made your point enough. Great guys. And yes, I will give them this. Michael Cole at least tried. Well, they made it personal with the Usos first because they put them through tables with their initial turn. Fine. But we didn't even get that because Bubba pulls Devon away. So, and I still think that this is just going to be a regular 2-on-2 tag team match because why throw the kitchen sink now when this WrestleMania is looking so stitched together and so half-assed. We could save that tables match for Extreme Rules and already kill that, make that hit the ground crawling, so to speak. So that was that segment, and I don't even know how I'm still holding it together, and I know I'm going to regret asking this, but what was our next segment after this?
Vince McMahon comes out, and we get the stipulation for the Undertaker-Shane match.
And Shane is right.
I have in my notes, Vince calls Undertaker his bitch. What?
My body tensed up with anger so much at that moment. And I'm just thinking, I hope you have a functioning life alert, because I want to see the look on your face when even that can't save you. I really went to a horrible place. I'm checking myself in somewhere when we're done this review, because this Raw revealed things to me about my humanity I wasn't quite ready to look at yet. Yeah, Vince, you're just noxious to me. And now maybe that's the sign of being a great heel, and I can give him that.
But fumes.
Yeah. I just, it's so funny, Ashton, because if this was written better, I'd be salivating. I mean, I'm already salivating in a way for that post-WrestleMania Raw, because that's where all the good stuff comes out, and you know that, and everybody knows that. But, I'd be
that's the thing, though, dude, is, we're so excited for the post-WrestleMania Raw. Why? Because that's where all the people that haven't been getting dragged down by Raw's writing for the last 12 months are going to end up showing up.
Exactly. And so then they could be dragged down by Raw's writing for the next 12 months.
Exactly.
Oh my god, what? Which begs the question, what kind of people are we that we just want to see them show up knowing that's going to happen?
NXT has become The Walking Dead. Because sure, it's a really entertaining show, but there's no hope. And there's no hope, and everyone is just going to die anyway, and it doesn't matter. Nothing actually matters.
I almost feel like that should be the title of this TWitWoW. It's either WrestleMania, and then just a lot of ha-has at the end with a crying face, or just WrestleMania 32, no hope, and then, do all that. But yeah, I mean, we're excited
for everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Vince cuts his promo. We know Taker's career's at stake, but I'm sure it'll hold about as much water as when Vince put John Cena's career at stake for keeping the WWE Championship out of the clutches of CM Punk. So, we've got nothing to worry about. I mean, literally, we've got nothing to worry about. If you're an Undertaker fan, I guarantee you 1,000,000 to 1 he gets rehired next night on Raw by Shane McMahon or by somebody.
Is it sad that now I'm rooting for Shane to win because I want this to be Undertaker's last WrestleMania? Does that make me an asshole?
No, it doesn't, because I feel like what better place to have your last WrestleMania than your home state of Texas?
I mean, I guess my thing is, if Daniel Bryan's brain was in bad enough shape that he got scared into retirement, what the hell does Undertaker's brain look like right now?
I'm scared to find out. And honestly, I don't, and you asked earlier if you were an asshole, I said no. I hope nobody thinks me to be an asshole for what I'm saying. I hope this guy can actually enjoy a life outside the ring when his career's over, because I actually kind of cringe anymore when I hear he's coming back for another one. Not because I hate The Undertaker, but because, I know I commit a lot of hyperbole and stuff. I mean, my favorite wrestler in 07, we know the tragedy that went down with that. I never want to see that again for as long as I live. One time was too much.
Yeah.
And I want to see everybody go and enjoy their lives. That's why I was so happy for Daniel Bryan, because, yeah, we can make jokes and we can miss the matches and this and that. I am so glad that man's going to be able to have a family, and I look at The Undertaker and, he once said in an interview, I'm going to stop doing this when people say, oh, that match was great, but I remember when Undertaker was insert time period here.
Yeah, well, and that started happening 5 years ago.
Yeah, first of all, you're a little late to the party, because I feel like it's already started happening, and two, you have nothing else to prove to any of us. It's the definitive legacy to me. I mean, again, you've had commentary call this man the conscience of WWE. Backstage, he's called a real locker room leader. He's never really started shit with anybody, as far as I know.
Unless you count freaking Wrestler's Court.
Well, Wrestler's Court.
You've never heard of Wrestler's Court?
No.
Well, we'll have to talk about that another time. But
Yeah.
Concept that the Undertaker and JBL used to lead.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, we'll have to talk about that. But regardless, more or less, okay, I'll qualify it now with this new revelation. A model career. What else do you have to do? Hang it up. It's in your match. It's in Dallas. It's really even though it has been botched a lot, like the central concept at least gives off the presence of being big because it's a new ruling party here. So you could say it was a big angle. Nothing else you could really ask for.
I love all of the little like stipulations you add in order to feel.
I have to, man.
It's a big deal.
I have to though, because I mean,
No, I'm not even disagreeing. I just think it's hilarious that it's come to that.
I know.
Hilarious, sad. There are all kinds of adjectives we could use to describe the situation right now.
I'm begging you,
and the
man.
fact that this is going to be our third 2+ hour Raw review in a row speaks volumes on how bad these shows have been.
Hashtag stop the pain. Oh my god. I had quite a few in talking with certain people. I had so many offensive lines describing how I felt about certain WrestleMania storylines. Stop the pain. I guarantee you guys is tame by comparison. So yeah, I mean, let this be Taker's last one. Go. Enjoy your life. You earned it. For God's sakes. You don't have to give anybody anything.
Yeah, we said this 3 years ago during End of an Era as well, and he still keeps coming back.
Well, I'm begging for the motherfucker to listen to me, because Shane's going to dive off the cell, and you really think you're going to be able to walk on your own 2 feet after that, or you're going to collapse right at, the entranceway, as you're about to get back.
Does anyone even want to, that's the thing, too, is, I feel like the people that really want to see Shane dive off the cell are secretly, at least just a little bit sadistic.
And to me, and I just want to make this clear, it's not that I want to see it, it's just I'm 99% sure it's going to happen.
Oh, no, so that's my thing, is that's part of the reason why I'm not looking forward to this match, because I don't need to see a 46-year-old man jump from 20+ feet in the air through a table.
Exactly.
That's not on the list of things that I'm really jazzed up about getting to watch.
I mean, even when you put it like that, that is so awkward.
Yeah, guys, are you seriously not excited to watch this middle-aged man kill himself?
Exactly. Using this older guy that's even older than him as the guy that's going to absorb the impact of the bump and be the fodder. I could just picture fans being everybody else is talking about their WrestleMania match, and the one person on the internet just explodes guys, are we not going to talk about the Shane McMahon spot?
That voice, though.
And no, we're not, because I don't want to think about, I don't want to put it on my conscience that I may have shortened the lives of 2 people in one match. So
are we going to talk about the Shane McMahon spot? I'm pretty sure it's going to show up in the newspaper tomorrow morning under the obituaries section.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for that, dickweed.
Yeah. It's not really the kind of thing we usually go out of our way to talk about.
I almost feel like a dick, because I feel like if I saw Shane before he was getting ready to do his Raw return, and I see the gray hair, and I see the face, the first words out of my mouth would have been wow, you got old. And then Shane would have been yeah, I did. And then he would have punched me in the face. But, that's all I could think. It's
Dude, have you seen Shane's punches? I could take a punch from Shane McMahon.
It's just I look at him.
At least a worked punch.
Yeah, I look at him, I look at Taker, and I look at Vince, and I'm wow, everybody in this is just so old. It's almost,
geriatrics won the world.
It's I almost have this sick fascination with it where I'm how old are you again? Yeah, run those numbers by me. Just can't conceive it.
Again, 70. Damn
it. Oh my god. I don't even know what segment we were talking about.
The Vince stipulation.
Oh, of course we were. Because I'll do anything to numb the pain. Yeah. Well, Undertaker is my bitch. Oh, I don't even know. Let's just move on.
Main event time.
Dean thank Christ.
Versus Braun Strowman. Well, because Vince is walking out, and as he walks out, he kind of brushes shoulders a little bit with Dean Ambrose.
Ew. Yeah, I mean, this match, do you have anything to say about it?
It really didn't last too long.
Really didn't. I
I mean, we got to see eventually after the match was called off because Dean decided, the only thing more important than momentum is surviving. So I'm not even going to try and win this match. I'm just going to use a chair. And he got himself disqualified. He actually was able to get the upper hand on Braun Strowman and use a Dirty Deeds onto the chair, which was pretty cool, I thought.
I love the way that you said that, like Dean's thought process. Momentum's one thing, but, I really want to survive, and I only have one Raw left to make it before I'm clear to actually say I made it to WrestleMania. So fucking I'm using the chair,
I love that too, freaking guys, the roster is cut in half, all these injuries. We should probably pull back, right? I think we should let him play with the chainsaw.
And you know what, though?
What can go wrong?
I have to say, and maybe this is where I am a sadist and I need to be called out and reined in, which I can't even deny it now, which is kind of terrifying, because when I get self-awareness about that, God help the rest of you. But, the best part about him being given that chainsaw, and I'm not even going to get morbid with it, I promise, but the best part about him being given that chainsaw, I want to see the look on Paul Heyman's face when he pulls it out. Because, Paul Heyman is going to have a full-blown panic attack.
Do you really think he's going to, though?
Dude, he's had panic attacks over less. Do
you really think Dean is going to pull out a freaking chainsaw?
You know what? I would. Obviously, I'd have it be like a swift kick.
Obviously, you would. John, if you were in a fight against Brock Lesnar, I'm not questioning whether you would want to use a chainsaw or not. I'm questioning whether Dean Ambrose is going to.
Well, see, I just have to put there, I wouldn't even have a chainsaw. I'd keep a gun in my Merce, that's man purse, for those of you that want to keep up. I'd unload the clip, and then when I realized he absorbed the bullets through his skin, the piss would go down my right pant leg, and I would just whimper as he just tore my torso just in half. But yeah, I would. I'd have it be, because if you really want to make, and I know he's not, and I know we've been over this, but the whole thing is lunatic fringe, this and that. Have him bust out the chainsaw, get the Paul Heyman reaction shot, and then have Brock Lesnar just shut that shit down immediately. That's really all it should be.
How the hell do you shut that shit down when said shit is a goddamn chainsaw?
Well, maybe we could just make it seem like Dean has a little bit of trouble starting it up because it's running on very little gas, and right as he gets it start up, even
right, because clearly the lunatic fringe isn't thinking about fuel levels.
I don't know, man. I just want to see it. All right, you gave him the damn chainsaw. You better use it.
So it's Chekhov's chainsaw now.
Well, I guess. But you know what, damn it? You showed it to me, therefore you're implicitly promising to me that I'm gonna see it at WrestleMania.
That's Chekhov's gun! That's what I'm saying!
You know what? Fuck Chekhov and fuck anybody who put the gun in the room in the first place.
Oh my god.
Alright, I want my chainsaw. Alright? that's what I want. I want my chainsaw.
The delirium is getting so real right now.
I want my chainsaw.
And there were so many jokes on Reddit about that too, about Dean collecting these random figures from random hardcore legends, and it got really dark. Someone was like, next week he's gonna visit Abdullah the Butcher and get Hep C. And then someone else was like, oh, next week on Raw, Al Snow gives head to Dean Ambrose. I don't know, man. I feel like it's like they're trying to do an Infinity Gem storyline, but it just doesn't work for me.
You know what would be hilarious, and again, this is clearly my cynicism showing, if Dean Ambrose collects all these power-ups, and he comes out, and he's just like, alright, Brock, I have Barbie, I have a chainsaw, I have Moppy, I have Head, get your mind out of the gutter. I have all these power-ups. I'm finally ready to stand up to you. And he loses in 8 minutes after 1 F5. Because Dean Ambrose can't take a punch, apparently. So, there you go. I don't know, man. I'm still excited. I don't know what the match is going to be like. I'm hoping they do something special with it, and that's not to say that Dean Ambrose goes over, because I wholeheartedly agree with you. Brock Lesnar needs to go over here. But, yeah, he uses the chair. He goes up to Heyman, who was on commentary. He tells him the same things in store for Brock Lesnar. He creeps Paul Heyman out, and that's pretty much how we end Raw. Is there anything else you have to say?
Move on, please.
Oh, thank God. The sweetest words ever spoken. Next segment, because the delirium hasn't completely taken hold of me yet. High spots and low shots. My low shot... You know what? My low shot is Fandango. Because he was even given a... Well, yeah, but he was even given assistance, and he still couldn't pick up a win. He lost. I mean, for maximizing your minutes, you really screwed up when it mattered. So, yeah, Fandango's my low shot.
He might have lost, but he looked good doing it, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that much. But I'm doubling down. He's my low shot. So, who's your low shot?
Yeah, I'm not trying to change your mind, because I know it's a futile attempt. My lowest shot is R-Truth, because you're supposed to be relevant with this whole Golden Truth thing, but you got squashed, and you actually just got beat by a big boot, and not even a good one.
Yeah, just you said it perfectly. Moving on.
Well, it's a good thing. That's why he's my low shot.
You know what? My honorary high spot?
Ooh.
I'm going to do it as part of the healing process. My honorary high spot is Zack Ryder.
Oh. Okay.
Because you got on.
Go home to Emma tonight.
Well, thank you for rubbing that in my face for the carry the one the millionth time.
I'm never gonna let it go, John. I hope you realize that.
I hate you. I hate all of you. But look, here's the thing, and let's just be real here, because when you put it in this context, I think he's the best high spot out there. He's in an Intercontinental Championship match.
Yeah.
Well, Bray Wyatt is more than likely going to be in the armbar.
Yeah, and he's not even going to win it because one of his lackeys is.
Exactly. So, in that context, and in that context only, Zack Ryder's in a better position than Bray Wyatt is right now.
How does that feel to choke down?
Oh, Ashton, I can always count on you for that swift kick in the neck. And now, because I don't want to... No, the delirium is not going to take hold of me, dude. Stop making me laugh. My actual high spot, as if any of you didn't even see it coming, Kevin Owens. Because...
Kevin Owens is like my low shot. He just... he won a match, congratulations, but now he has to defend his title against 6 other guys in a match where him being the best wrestler doesn't even matter because the only way to win is to climb a ladder like a dad cleaning a gutter.
Do you piss on this for me?
Oh my God. The desperation in your voice.
Oh God! The tear ducts are overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah. Let's pull it together, John. Pull it together.
No, it's not over. It's
pull it
not
together.
Over. I can pull it together, damn it. I can pull it together. Okay, so he beats AJ Styles. Damn it, I am finishing this.
I didn't. Why are you angry at me?
I thought, oh God, my eyes are burning. Oh God. Okay. I thought I heard you say something, or I thought I heard you like stifle a snicker or something. I'm telling you, man. Anyway. Kevin Owens beats AJ Styles, does amazing promo work, after that match. Has great interactions with Stephanie, really kissing up, and it really, just seeing that, honestly, just makes me see the missed opportunity they had not making him the next Golden Boy immediately after, Seth's injury, and really getting behind him. Had great commentary work, and we could look at as, he's got to defend his title against 6 guys at WrestleMania in a ladder match. You know how I look at it? As a man that's sympathetic to fathers, particularly Kevin Owens, a chance to beat 6 guys in a ladder match at WrestleMania. That is why KO Mania, Kevin Owens, is my high spot.
I guess
So now,
the whole thing though is that he's not actually gonna beat any of them. He's just like, even if he wins the match, he can only really do that by climbing a ladder.
yeah, well, you know what? He's gonna do it, and he's gonna do it better than all those other guys. So yeah, that's just all that needs to be said.
I can't argue with that logic.
There you go. So who's your high spot?
My high spot. You know, it really should be Lucha Underground, because this Raw really, like, you know how when you eat pretzels, all you want is some water?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even have to be like chips, even like salty, like potato chips. Any like salty food in general. When you eat salty food, you really want water. Well, this is what would happen if salty food tasted like shit. And Lucha Underground is the water.
As soon as you started with that, like, pretzels, I'm like, oh god, where's it going? And it works. Yeah, so, I mean, is Lucha Underground your high spot, or are you actually gonna pick somebody?
No, you know what? I'm gonna go above and beyond. My high spot is Big E.
I like that.
Because he, like you said, they have been highlighting him a little bit more lately. He has been having more matches lately. He's looking good in his matches when he does have them. And he won tonight, and that's a good thing.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm so happy they seem to be getting behind Big E. Again, if this is a different product, I actually wouldn't lament the inevitable breakup of the New Day too much, because I'd actually feel like Big E would go somewhere, because he has all the tools to go any place you'd want to take him. Like, I really am vouching for this guy here, because I know I usually get behind the Kevin Owens and the Dean Ambroses. Like, I do not want to understate or undersell Big E, because I feel like he has all the goods to be anybody at any time, you know, any role you need him to fill.
Yeah.
And I would just really want to see WWE get behind him. And it really kind of pisses me off that I don't think they will, because that's sad, because he just has all the ability. So I actually love the high spot.
We know Triple H is willing to get behind him, because he was the first ever world champion in NXT, first ever black world champion in NXT, and they freaking jumped on that, like, right out of the gate.
Right.
So clearly Triple H sees a lot in Big E. It's just a matter of, you know, getting to Vince's old ass.
Yeah. Really, really old ass. But, I mean...
Good luck with that there, Trips.
Yeah, you know, and... And I'm glad I was able to pull it together, because, I mean, I'm not laughing, I'm not goofing off. Like, Big E is an asset. And I really glad.
I told you I would go above and beyond for my high spot.
And yeah, I'm so proud of you. So proud.
I will accept that pride.
No, you are not allowed to be funny for this segment and the outro, because this always fucking happens. You get lip, and then I laugh, and then I look bad. Well, fuck that, because that ain't happening this week. All right, our next segment. All right, 2 more. Just gotta keep it together. Just this in the outro. Keep it together.
K-A-T. Keep it together.
I said no talking! Damn it, it's already starting. Raw requests. Okay, I've got to think of something more legitimate than suck less, but it's so hard.
That's what he said.
No, I said no talking, damn it! Alright, what do I do? What do I do?
Oh my god.
You know what? I don't even know what to say. Oh my god, this WrestleMania is so bad.
First?
Yeah, you could go first, because I need to think.
My Raw request is to watch our 10 reasons that WWE could be better video and do all that stuff.
You know what?
No, I'm joking, by the way. Just to be clear, I mean, that's kind of an implicit Raw request every week. Actual Raw request is one of the things in that video, though. My Raw request for next week is to take a step back from your product, realize how little sense 98% of your character's motivations make, and fix that issue.
So, really a more nuanced and in-depth version of suck less.
No. I mean, doing what I'm suggesting would inherently make them suck less, yes. But I want to be specific here. What I'm actually saying is make sure that your character's motivations make sense.
I can dig it. I like that. Because I do think that does come back to, just make your writing of a better quality. Because I think when that starts to happen, all those other things will follow suit. All right. I guess my Raw request is, God, this WrestleMania is so, like, what would I even want? Because I can't say do something with Reigns and Triple H, 'cause I don't even think that match is salvageable.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think the first one was right because it didn't deserve the full effort.
It really didn't, and yet you're still being that witty person. I am gonna make it. I am gonna make it, damn it. Do an intro. You know what my Raw request is? Give a nice final pull. Like, I hate to say, like, a contract signing or something, but maybe, like, give that segment to the three-way. Like, I want them to have a nice top-off segment before Mania.
You know, I feel like they should stay away from Divas doing contract signings for at least a few more months.
Maybe you're right, but
Given
something like
how much of a train wreck the last one was.
You know what my Raw request is? Because, and I know this won't happen, but again, how many of our requests actually do happen if you were to look on average?
Average, yeah, we're boned. But what I was going to say is we've had at least one or two over the last month that actually worked.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like
that
because...
hit rate, though?
Yeah.
Devastating.
I know it's not going to happen, but because it is your most coherent story at WrestleMania, I would like to see some effort throughout the show. You could sprinkle it throughout all 3 hours. You know, you devoted 2 video packages to Shane Taker, and it was really on Shane. Why don't you give each woman kind of like a splicing of like video package, but interview talking about what WrestleMania means to them? Like, if this is really a Divas Revolution, give them some really intimate spotlight next week on your Go Home show. Because that's it. I mean, Go Home show should be guns blazing. And last I checked,
the Divas Revolution is supposed to be all about how, treating women equal to men, they're being written just as poorly as men. Maybe even a little bit better for the most part.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like the storytelling has been bad. Again, like, I want to stress this is like the most coherent story going into this Mania. I just think this would be the perfect cap off on your Go Home show because, again, that's the show. Guns are blazing. And last I checked, this match was a bullet in the chamber. So I think it would just be really cool to get that intimate perspective. What does it mean to you? You came in, you were a part of this initiative, and that initiative pays off with you guys having this match at WrestleMania. What does that mean to you?
I kind of feel like that's something that they would have done in NXT.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of reminds me of like the old Finn Balor like mini documentary that they did for him leading up to the match with Owens.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing. That's not something that they do on the main roster for the most part, really at all.
And that's the best I could come up with though, because to me this is like, again, one of the best put together matches on this WrestleMania card. And
both just kind of emphasize your strengths.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's actually a better way to articulate my personal request, and it actually even broadens it. Emphasize your strengths on this show, because really, what else are you going to do to make the medicine easier to go down? Just show us what's good. Maybe have a brawl between Ambrose and Lesnar.
That's not subjective at all.
I understand that, but I mean, I think you could tell by fan reaction and stuff like that what's, if not objectively good, at least closer to the objective state of a viewpoint than subjective, because I mean, clearly, again, that main event isn't going to be salvaged at all. Divas Championship, again, great story. I feel like you could do a lot with that. Maybe have a little bit of a skirmish, but not too much between Ambrose and Lesnar. Hell, maybe you don't want them touching each other. I don't know.
You know what I want to see?
Yeah. What's that?
I mean, next week is the Go Home show, so you want to pull out all the stops, right?
Right.
I want to see Becky Lynch with Charlotte in the Disarmor, and Charlotte tapping out.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. It would just be featuring your matches, in particular, that would be the Divas Championship match, in a way that gets me pumped. Like, it's WrestleMania, and it doesn't feel like WrestleMania. And
it's WrestleMania, and yet it legitimately feels like a B show.
I mean, just everything.
The only thing WrestleMania-esque about the build to this is that we're probably going to get big stars, and everyone, like part-timers, are also going to be on the card.
Actually, you were far gentler with it than I was going to be, because when you said like the only thing that feels like WrestleMania, I was going to say is because WrestleMania is the logo, and that's it.
Well, that's the thing, dude. Like, they always, for WrestleMania, they always pull out all the stops. They're always, We're going to get The Rock in some capacity. We're going to get Austin in some capacity. Hogan won his frickin' lawsuit with Gawker, so he might even get reinstated sometime soon. We're probably going to get HBK and the rest of the Click guys. And, of course, we already know Taker's going to be there, Brock's going to be there, Triple H is going to be there, all wrestling. That's what makes it WrestleMania, is that the part-time guys are deciding that they want to show up now.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess my Raw request, because I really, like, that just shows you how really bad the wreckage is. Like, I don't really know what to pick that would even make me happy anyway, because I just feel like there's so much wrong right now. But, yeah, I just think go with what you know, go with what you've miraculously been doing right, and even more miraculously, it's been your women, particularly these 3 women in the Divas Championship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just go with that. Anything else you want to say?
Let's close it out, brother.
Oh my god, I made it to the outro. I knew it! Alright, guys, this has been Raw. This has been TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Why is Woody Harrelson such an underrated actor?
Wait, what? No, we are this close to finishing. Do not torpedo my efforts. You give a question to our subscribers right now.
I just asked a question, but I really want you to know, John, that was the exact reaction I was hoping for.
You manipulative bastard.
I'm better at this than Vince.
It's so true. Damn.
I'm also better at stalling than Vince.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. All right, I have a question. How are you guys going to get through the pain of WrestleMania?
No.
You
know what? No. My question is, who's winning Aztec Warfare on Wednesday?
Yeah, there you go.
There's my freaking question.
I love it.
And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, shame on you. But more importantly, tune in to the El Rey Network on Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.
And then get our best coverage of that same amazingness right here, because we do it better than anybody.
Live reactions up by 9:30 Eastern Time, TWitWoW up by 11, and then NXT sometime later after that. I don't know.
Yeah, promptness for the win, motherfuckers! All right, so be sure to take that. Beg pardon?
Was that a McLovin impression?
Potentially. I don't know. I'm so sheltered. Be sure to take that conversation over to Tweetop. That is, pro wrestling is taking over Facebook. And even if the space for Lucha Underground fans is small, I really do feel like it grows by the week. And you know what would make it grow faster? Your effort! Spread the word, people. I'm seeing on my Twitter, which actually makes me smile, about people converting other people. Our boy Gordon Maston recently converted a friend of his to Lucha Underground, by the way. Go check out Gordon on his YouTube. And yeah, he introduced a friend to Lucha Underground. I think he even had like a wager, like, oh, I'll give you this much money, but you gotta check out Lucha Underground. I feel like he was able to keep the money anyway because Lucha Underground was so fantastic. Like, it was worth the money spent. So, yeah, he converted another one. Go out, my children, and convert, because this product needs to succeed. Because Raw is
What's the word, John? Proselytizing?
Yeah, that's it.
Do that.
Yeah, do that. Do all of that. Get up in that shit. Be sure to like, share, and comment on the content we have on our Facebook page, as TWitWoW is now on Facebook. If Facebook really isn't your medium, we do have a subreddit. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the TWitWoW community on Reddit can interact with that content and put up threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. But if you want to get involved with us on the ground level, tweeting at me or tweeting at Ashton, yes, we are both on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A. Pond, the body of water, POND, 404. And we will see you again for our Lucha Underground live reactions. Got it right this week. I put that one first. And then for our Lucha Underground review. We're knowing that 20 people are going to kill themselves for the richest prize in North America today, the Lucha Underground Championship. that just leaves me with one question. Are you all ready to party with me when Johnny Mundo wins? Yeah, baby! Tune in and peace out.